I don't know. I'm over here just like I'm the visual novel guy. I want to talk about this kind of stuff anyway. I want my media literacy award, which is why we're playing this game in the first place. Because not gonna lie, I don't know what nthcircle is actually cooking in regards to a lot of stuff, but I also appreciate a good joke once in a while. It actually makes me want to look into this, to the point that I was trying to find the meme image they made of Evangeline handing you the media literacy award, and I couldn't find it. So I was forced to make my own, so naturally we're all over the place. Once again, as my funny verbal tick of the stream. But you know, honestly, it's sure to be a good time. I just need to actually lock in terms of voicing characters at times, you know? For the life of me, I look at this woman and I just think to myself, you have the same fit as Kafka from Star Rail, yet you somehow wear it better. Mostly because they actually use you as a character instead of just throwing you to the wayside every time we need to think of a new... I'm gonna keep it a buck. I haven't kept up with Star Rail at all. I only like Kafka's group, but at the same time, it's just like, oh no, I think I don't like Hoyo versus a game company anymore. But you know, it sometimes comes down to that. Gacha is bad for you, which is why you should only play the good gacha. Or you know, understand that gambling is a vice and story can't make up for that, but at the same time, we deal with that every day of our lives, you know what I mean? Hell, the fact that live service games in general exist is probably something of a problem in of itself, but we'll talk about that another day. I want to talk about the real vice that exists. Having to look for a lawyer, but at the same time, you know how it goes. Naturally, we are just here. And we are also here asking very nicely, where did the game go? Where are you? There we are. I put you up here for a reason, but naturally, it's just a case of, I don't know what to expect other than I watched Lucy stream it like a year and a half ago and had no idea what was going on because I was late for the stream, but getting to see it for myself, maybe now context will finally be a clue, you know? So why don't we find out for ourselves, shall we? Rain sizzles off neon above me. The summer shower creates a noted uptick in the flickering of holograms down the street, and a slight blunting of the night's ambiance. Emphasis on slight. Lights, cameras, and constant noise. This city's got insomnia, with the uneven heart rate to prove it. There's no escaping this second-hand nervous energy of it all, but I'm pretty acclimated. Just a wave of worries cresting on the surface while I hold my breath deep below. Besides, a microdose of nightlife anxiety suits my mood just fine. Because if I'm not careful, this client of mine's gonna die in jail. Hey look everybody, it's Morgan. She's a defense attorney. What is she defending? I don't know. Personally, I'm of the mind if they just send her there, but still. It's hard to get away with murder these days. People are still presumed innocent, at least on paper. But by the time they're in cuffs, there's hardly any shadow of doubt left. Because this whole world's lit up, all mapped out, never any unknown, and always online. Whether it's incandescent, or neon, or hollow, whether it's LCD, LED, or just the nearest phone screen, there's light shining on every last pixel of the map. And someone's always watching. Solitude's a rarity, anonymity is scarce. And criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. So you take whatever clients you can get. You don't balk at public defender work, no matter the hour. And should you find yourself in one of the last dark, quiet corners left in the whole world, well, smoke 'em if you got 'em. Not that there's much else I can do until... my phone? Also, Limbus today. Can't wait. How are you, Spectre? Tell me, what do you look for in a lawyer? But even still, I hope you're doing all right. Me, I'm over here just like, fuck, look at my lawyer, dude. But still, My phone. Counselor, your public defender contract has been approved. You are expected at the 254th precinct. Present your ID at the door to enter. Arrive at least 15 minutes early. Looks like the paperwork came through. It's nearly 3:15 now, 90 minutes since I took the job. Probably makes it about 2 hours since they finally got smart enough to ask for a lawyer. If they're really smart, they'll have used the time to get some rest. Because now that I'm here, things are going to get busy. I can't wait. I'm going to interrogate the witness, but still. Disable tutorials, you can turn them back on in settings. I don't think I would like to go in blind, thank you. What do you mean, suspect hashtag not found? Precinct 254. Are you winning? I don't know. Frankly speaking, we haven't gone to court yet. It's gonna be about 6 months. How are you, by the way, Akai? It's a goddamn ghost town. With nothing but a hologram for a welcoming party. I'm here about a homicide. High clearance rates be damned. You'd think they'd treat it with a little more gravitas. But whatever. If I'm that unimportant, they've got no right to complain when I take my sweet time getting checked in. And I should take my time. Information's like cash in my line of work. You gotta spend it to make it. And if you're flat broke, no one will give a shit what you have to say. So let's see if I can't poke around and shake some change loose. Alright, let's see here. Press the phone button or tap the phone icon at the top left to access the pause menu when you can save, load, or check settings. Understandable. Look around for points of interest you can check to investigate the area. You'll earn credit for investigating anything and everything you can. Credit is both a measure of your information gathering skills and your own credibility. So don't go broke. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I like the card art for Morgan over here on this card. It's really good. I'm over here just like, could I get an emote of that at some point? I think I would like that. But even still, I need to find out if there's an art book for this game, you know? Let's see. High traffic hallways, utilitarian furnishing, multiple screening stations. Pragmatic brutalism, so textbook it can teach freshman level architecture. I almost hear the building drone on and on about concrete and iron and hard right angles. The civil planning equivalents of battle scars. From a fight won so long ago that they're starting to look ridiculous. I'm sure it was all very imposing back when it was built. But walking in here now, with crime rates where they are, feels like a hospice ward for heavy-handedness. Yes, you're in jail. You should feel like you're in jail. But even still, I'm not too eepy today, so that's a win. Just got done with work. How was your workday, son? Let's see. An actual police lineup. Looks like I walked into a museum. Though museums tend to feel expensive and clean. Dusty, forgotten, probably lots of unpacked boxes. This homicide department's more like an attic. Hard to believe they were ever so busy that they had witnesses making IDs in the lobby. Then again, it's hard to believe they were ever doing lineups in the first place. Are you certain? Wasn't it dark? Did you know that during traumatic events, memory formation is blah, blah, blah? Poking holes in that setup must have been like shooting fish in a barrel, and all during billable hours. But there's no room to sow doubt anymore. Not when a modded witness can just submit their testimony as a video recording. Assuming their phone didn't automatically file a police report for them. else you got for me? You wanna set up the chairs? There's no chairs here. A data pad? I'll bite. Even when they're more advertisement than article, they can still be informative. In a flowery, roundabout corporate propaganda sort of way. Keep an eye out for articles in the environment. They offer insight on the world around you and credit towards your investigation. Articles are added to the phone's reading list after you first read them. Choose the proper takeaway after reading them and you'll earn additional bonus credit too. Subway fixes axed, capital to refocus on canopy. Declaring the subway tunnels to be irreparably flooded, city engineers announced this week that all plans to drain and repair the system were being suspended indefinitely. Saltwater damage to sensitive electronic cabling and erosion of the key tunnel fixtures were cited as reasons for why 89% of the subway system was evaluated as critically compromised or worse. Civil engineering efforts will be refocused on maintenance and expansion of the hybrid super infrastructure system that weaves together trams, highways, walkways, and skyscrapers into the canopy high above our city streets. Reactions to the announcement could be characterized as blasé. It's been years since the subways last ran, and decades since the last ran on schedule. Most citizens have long since given up hope on them ever making a comeback. Online chatter barely reacted to the announcement, with most commenters and voters' attention focused instead on the growing investigations into Councilman Long's campaign finance irregularities. As one of the canopy's major backers in City Hall, Long has often found himself at odds with the small but vocal group of critics that consider it to be an eyesore and an amplifier of light and noise pollution, and with Long having stepped away from his political duties in order to more fully cooperate with investigators, for the first time in nearly 20 years, the typically rock-steady political foundation of the canopy was looking uncharacteristically shaky going into this week. But with the subways now officially no longer an option, people and corporations alike have little choice for how they complete their morning commute. However, not all reactions to the news have been negative. At least a few bold individuals see this latest report as vindication and possibly even a rallying cry. Already considered by many to be a rising star in infrastructure solutions abroad, tech startup Subterra made headlines last year with their radical proposal for a system of personal submarine taxi pods that could make use of the flooded subway tunnels. But momentum stalled when their first prototype for the city came at a disappointing 3.359% over budget. Though one council member was quoted as calling their system mind-bogglingly wasteful and impractical in the extreme, in light of this latest announcement, Subterra has proudly declared their intent to resubmit their proposal package. Across the entire globe, coastal cities like ours have struggled to find civil engineering answers to rising sea levels and subterranean flooding that satisfy financial, practical, and aesthetical concerns. Historically, most scientists have attributed this increase in sea level to climate change, though there are dissenting voices. Water rises and falls all the time, for reasons we do not fully understand. Are we too? It appears you have 0 free articles remaining this month. Please verify your account information in order to continue reading the stories that matter. Whoa, that's a lot of words. We're still on the road. Just wanted to stop by real quick to quip. Hello, Hispanic. Are you on your way to MagFest? I hope you enjoy your time at MagFest if that's true. I'm hoping for the best in regards to all of that. That being said, ballsy of them putting the paywall there. As if I'd reach for my wallet after having to read a word like aesthetical. Besides, I got the gist of it. The takeaways that the city will be focusing its efforts on, well, obviously the canopy. There'll be increased scrutiny surrounding the canopy now that there's no plan B. It's a massive project with a massive budget, lines the pockets of a lot of people, big and small. None of them would appreciate bad press at the moment, not when Councilman Long's already thoroughly chummed the waters. Alright, let's see here. Anything else, or can I actually just go talk? I think I'm gonna do that. The medium's cracked in the corner. Looks bad, but my phone's made of the same stuff and I'm rolling the dice every time it falls off the sofa. Could probably know the warranty on those things with a loud sneeze. At least it's not broken. Entirely. Even at this hour, it's still dutifully scrolling through the notifications. Looks like the usual 1-to-1 ratio of public health alerts and inoffensive pop culture trivia you always get served at state buildings. But there's a few missing persons, too. 1 year of silver plan coverage courtesy of Caduceus as a reward for any... Silver's no joke. Family must be getting desperate. Alright. I've taken in all the scenery and learned as much as I can here. Time to get checked in. Get booted up fine, so far so good.
Good morning. Morgan, here for the public defender contract. Could you please provide your name and... Great. Stand still for a moment.
I wouldn't call the intake hollows charming, more like harmless. But that's probably what the designers were aiming for. People don't mind a quirk or two in text so long as it never speaks out of turn.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble placing you. Could you please provide your name and date of birth?
So far so good, was it? I'm inclined to ask you to scan the card for reasons of how much could you pick up off my face, but you know, let me see here. Say, why don't you just scan my ID card?
Great. Now, could you just confirm your date of birth for me?
Why do they even bother asking? My birthday's on the damn ID card, and my profile. I'd have to be a world-class airhead to get this question wrong. No problem, my birthday's... Wait. Let me see here. Profile. Oh, let's see here. Morgan, December 26th, 175 centimeters, criminal offense, commercials, hair dryer, jogging, you fall asleep in any position, decaf, whiskey, sour. Understandable. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Morgan. December 26th.
Perfect. Good morning, Morgan, counselor. Thank you for your timely arrival and for taking on this public defender contract. If you're ready to speak to your client, you can proceed to counseling quarter 3C.
Is that what we're calling it now? You mean the interrogation room?
I'm sorry to have caused any confusion. My vocabulary is regularly updated to better reflect state standards.
Don't sweat it. I can't keep track of every new euphemism either. They could call it the involuntary wellness check room if they like. It doesn't change the way it makes a person feel, sitting in a stifled box of one-way panels. Nothing to see but their own reflection dully warped across gunmetal walls.
Morgan, counselor, can I help you with anything else?
Choices that progress the story forward will cause other options to shrink away when selected. Choices that will take the conversation down side paths before returning to this point will not. Because of the article you read earlier, you've unlocked an additional choice in this dialogue. Read and examine every opportunity to build up your knowledge and get the most out of every conversation. Okay, that's progress right there. Let's see here. What about the disrepair of this place? I know the city's not terribly concerned with the lower wards, but this is a police station. Why is it so goddamn dusty?
The facility is currently undergoing renovations.
Since when? The 60s? It has
It's been 22 months since the timetable was last updated.
They really don't see a lot of action around here, do they?
I'm sorry for any inconvenience you might have encountered.
I'm adaptable. What about you? They ever gonna fix that crack?
Thank you for asking. It has not interfered with my work.
Well, that's all that matters, right? What are you? Why are you? What are you?
I am a smart user interface proudly sold by Noble Electronics. Thank you for asking. If you're interested, I could send you a link with information about our subscription packages. Should I send you a link with information about our subscription packages?
No, sorry. That was a mean question to ask. That'll be all. Thank you. You'll find the wait.
You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office, through the door to your right.
Thanks. But I think it's just me for now, so could you go on break if you could go on break if you like.
Unrated dependents do not take breaks, Morgan Counselor.
Then what were you doing before I walked in?
You'll find the counseling quarters past our homicide detective's office.
The door to the right, thank you. Ads don't get breaks, and they don't get my jokes. But it's usually the humorless types that are the most fun to mess with anyway. I was about to say, game froze for half a second. I was gonna go back. There's something. A voice. No. Voices are coming down the hall. Hey. You. How are you, Cleric? I hope you're doing alright. I almost had to shout yourself out for half a second, but you're not a mod here, even still. Have one of those. I'm going to make you ask, what's your opinion on Ichi? What's your opinion on the girl who says Megiddo? I think I'm looking this up for half a second. I think she's a Cassandra Morris character, but let me see. I feel like I'm right. I am in fact right. I can't escape this woman. I appreciate this deep down. She's one of my favorite modern voice actresses. Who would have thought, but still. I found out apparently she was in the English dub of K-On! With Christina V, and I'm over here just like, you can't put two goats together like that, but still. Let's see. Compared to yours. Probably. Thank God I stopped for directions. The building this empty, the desk could have just told me to follow the echoes. One voice sounds older, rougher, decidedly low energy. Appreciate you. Proud about me. Forbid that I try to be serious, while the other rings with youthful indignation. It's not like our job is important or anything. Definitely cops. And at this precinct, at this hour, they might be the only two living, breathing people in the whole complex. So why else would you bother to print all that out? One document or 100. Looks the same on the data pad. Anytime you question a subject, you need to have a heavy file in hand. Makes them think you know them better than the priest, the mother up there. They're big brothers? I wasn't gonna say that. So, how many of these sheets were blank then? No red carpet tonight, officers. Sorry about that, ma'am. We don't keep many extra hands around at these hours. Probably faster let the desk handle the intake anyway. But mostly cheaper. You the lawyer? Oh, dog, look at my cop. I'm going to jail for real. But even still, she's great. She's like a meathead shonen boy, but a girl. She loves fight and food and sleep. Girl after my own heart, I suppose. I can see why Ring a Bell is head over heels for her. But even still. I am. Morgan Esquire. Pleased to meet you. Same here, counselor. Well, Wassum, London. I probably butchered that. And the ball of sunshine over here is my partner, Farrah Reyes. Ball of sunshine. She certainly is. Huh. Sorry if we kept you waiting. Chatter between the departments has been hectic all night. It's no trouble. Gave me time to enjoy my cigarette. Cigarette? Like tobacco? What are you, 80? She can't be more than a few years younger than me. We're, the detectives in charge of this particular case. And it looks like tonight we're also your humble guides in the illustrious homicide department. Apologies in advance for any cobwebs. Pretty sure I've seen this London character around the courthouse before. He never struck me as more than just some old-timer. But I suppose being an old-timer is an accomplishment in of itself in his profession. Sunshine is definitely a new face, though. Rigid in her posture and her attitude. 3 in the morning and her shirt still looks ironed. Freshly promoted, maybe? 2 whole detectives working at these hours? Sounds serious. Unless you were just the first to arrive on the scene. No, we're not nearly that timely. Uniforms respond to the emergency calls within a few minutes. Calls, plural. Must have been quite the commotion. Look around. You think we're the first to arrive for anything? She's not wrong. We were only tapped after circumstances at the scene indicated involvement with an ongoing investigation. Our ongoing investigation? Not very subtle, is she? But I may as well bind at this point. So, you suspect that the client of mine is involved in some separate criminal activity? Wait, did they really not? No, I guess they wouldn't put it in a public defender's briefing. Look, consider this a little professional courtesy. A fair warning, yeah? That's the heartbreak killer in that room. I can't believe it. This guy has so many left swipes on Tinder, but still. And we've got the bastard dead to rights. So if you're kind, you'll help him plead it out. And if you're smart, you'll pass this shitstorm onto some other night owl and go back to bed. I'm not feeling particularly kind or smart at the moment. So perhaps in the meantime, you'd be so polite as to fill me in about this heartbreak killer. They cover utilities at the rock you live under. Is there a problem? You're seriously not familiar with HK? Never heard of him. I've heard enough of him for a lifetime. That name has been plastered all over the city for weeks. Their crime wavering between breaking news and urban legend. Their presumed goals flip-flopping from unadulterated anarchy to unprecedented vigilantism. At street corners, in the media, on the net. Everyone's indulging in the same exact kind of armchair detective speculation that I can't stand. But right now, I need to figure out exactly how much the police do or don't know. And when it comes to cops, I always get better results playing dumb than I do acting smart. I mean, I feel as though that's right to do when you can't trust cops, but still. I take it he's a repeat offender? Was it the killer part that tipped you off? You must have at least heard about his MO. Media's gone crazy with it. Along with everyone else. 1 bullet straight through the heart. Body left alive where it falls. It's the name Heartbreak. Not exactly creative, but amidst the swirl of every other 100-word article out there, catchiness trumps originality. So I tried the worst drink I ever had, Arizona's egg cream chocolate soda. Baka, I'ma keep it a buck with you. I don't drink tea in Arizona in the first place, let alone whatever you just said, but even still, it tastes like carbonated yoo-hoo. I don't like milk either, but at the same time, good lord, I hope you're alright at the very least. How are you holding up this January, but still? Happy New Year. I feel like I haven't seen you since last year. Apparently people hate this joke, but still. What you won't read about online is that all 6 of HK's victims were shot by the same gun, without even needing to reload. See you next year, Ichi. No, you get the fuck back here, Spectre, but still. Horrible to say, I know, but 6 for 6? That's pretty good shooting, isn't it? Hitting the bullseye at shooting range. Wait, let me try that again. Hitting the bullseye at a shooting range is good shooting. Doing it 6 times in a row is great. But shooting 6 people with accuracy like that? It's a whole different beast. Takes a certain kind of monster, a real freak. What else could you expect from a true freak? His pulse probably didn't even rise. I see. You sound like a machine. You almost make him sound like a machine. It's possible that... No, it's not. There's no such thing as killer robots, madam. Of course, my mistake. So, all those androids marching in the military, those robots patrolling in police uniforms, those drones dropping firebombs from the sky. I guess they're all firing blanks. I'm not gonna lie, I like Morgan's sass. It's almost as if rhetoric gets you killed or something, but you know. Good. Happy New Year. I got a full weekend. Tomorrow, wound clinic. Friday, watching Fallout with my best friend. Saturday, D&D. Sunday, I have a date. You have a date? My batheads are actually seeing people? Wow, I can't believe it. My community actually engages with one another. It's crazy. But still. Fair enough. Machines can kill, and they have been for decades. But they don't commit murder. Right. Evil like heartbreak is all organic. That's a pretty terrifying thought. I should really start paying more attention to the news. Yes, I have what kids call the Riz. Crazy. I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like people have stopped saying Riz, and I wish they wouldn't. It's funny to me now, you know? I'm not like those hip kids on the tac. Sometimes I use real words like charisma and taxes, but still. How I managed to miss 6 murders? Well, you can only blame yourself for missing 5. Pardon? You're still not getting it. HK's 6th victim was found a few hours ago, when we caught the son of a bitch red-handed. So, you're convinced that my client is the heartbreak killer, and tonight was just his latest crime. That's a serious accusation with very serious consequences. I take it you have serious evidence to back this up. Do you have as faction a single-licious satisfact to snack that up? I was being literal, counselor. Red-handed. When we found your client, he was covered in her blood. Well, that's not good, is it? What you say certainly sounds compelling. Is that lawyer talk for open and shut? But even if that's the case, how does one crime scene make him look good for 6 murders? That's a bloody problem, you're so right. out here shooting critters, but still. It's all there in the discovery files. And the ARCs, of course. Join the local net on your phone and we'll turn over everything you need. You know what? Let me see here. What the hell do they mean by ARCs? Augmented Reality Crime Scene, abbreviated as ARCS, is an investigative tool in which data is harvested by the sensors worn on first responders, is used to reconstruct a digital copy of a pristine crime scene, programmed and distributed by a small number of tech corporations and frequently modified or even personalized by local municipalities. ARC systems are used by every major police force, most insurance investigators, and many law firms. After its introduction in the early 2060s, the technology briefly came under public scrutiny when the independent news organization United Mediacasters released a series of reports claiming that ARC's data was regularly edited by corrupt officials to erase state secrets. These reports were later found to be fake, and UMC was exposed as the subsidiary of a cell corporation within Lambda Work Solutions, were marketing a number of alternatives to ARC's technology at the time. Board members at Lambda denounced the actions of said cell and offered assistance to their former competitors in suing leadership at UMC, but the proceedings and settlements in those lawsuits remain sealed. Crazy. It's almost as if when you can actually do stuff like that, collusion tends to happen, but still, let's see. Wait, no, automated dependent. I heard that term earlier. I want to know what it's about. Abbreviated as AD and referred to in common conversation as ad or ads, automated dependence is a catch-all term encompassing robots, intelligent programs, interactive holograms, and androids. Ads are present both digitally and physically in every industry and nation on the planet, assisting in everything from data management to physical labor. In the mid-21st century, lobbyists pushed through new tax classifications to define intelligent machines that were neither salaried employees nor mere equipment. Because it afforded tax breaks and lighter tariffs, the term became so commonly used that it spread to all branches of robotics industry, from which point it began to penetrate everyday speech and pop culture. Some sociologists argue that the term owes its popularity not simply to its brevity and prevalence, but to its ability to draw a distinction between commonplace robots, androids, smart UIs, etc., and the internationally illegal artificial intelligences. Searching for this term may incur an account flag. Wow. I almost wish we had that, but no, that's a free speech violation. But you know, what a surprise. If I had two future punk universes in which the concept of AI gets you hurt by the government, I'd have 2 nickels. But no. I'll bet. Thanks for that, detective. I'll be sure to read it over. But if it's all the same, could I ask you 2 some questions while I've got you here? The hell kind of attorney wants to interrogate the detectives? This kind of attorney. You're just that pleasant. I get the feeling Reyes is gonna be our dokes for this game, and you know what? I'm alright with that. Let's see. Come on, sunshine. It's not like we're gonna be punching out anytime soon, right? Whatever. Let your clients do an interrogation all night for all I care. You mean the counseling quarters? We're at your disposal, counselor. Alright, let's see here. I'm gonna have to look for more things to look at. Let's see here. Did I say this game was going to be my ability to actually do some vocal training? It's turning into that. And I'm alright with that. Let's see here. Loose wires, missing panels, an aircon system that probably sweats more than the people it's supposed to cool. No room in the budget for making the office not look like shit, huh? I expected to find a lot of belt-tightening at Homicide. But I didn't think their operation would be this bare bones. They've got a stunning clearance rate and they work fast. Guess the city sees that and just assumes their job is easy. Maybe their job is easy, what with our dear doting surveillance state eliminating so much of the footwork. But if your wheels don't squeak, you don't get your palms greased. So Homicide ends up as the only State Department with a shrinking budget. A dumping ground for the police force most unambitious and least popular. If that doesn't hit the nail on the head and immediately hammers it down, but let's see here. Barren, stark, and uninviting. This must be Reyes' desk. Keeping your workstation neat and tidy is admirable, but I can't spot a single mote of personalization. Is she so new that she hasn't had time to unpack? Or is she really that uptight and boring? Both, maybe. Wait, okay. You shouldn't have cleaned up so much just for little old me, Detective London. Someone really needs to introduce this guy to a filing system, or even just a stapler. Paper documents scattered about lazily alongside actual photographs. Either he's really old-fashioned or really paranoid about data leaks. And he doesn't look like the paranoid type. Well, orderliness aside, some things are better in paper, I'll give him that. I mean, I don't blame him. I think I would like the physical file for something like this too, considering the inherent idea of witness tampering, but you know, let's see here. Bolstered by a strong earnings report and surging sales of Animate 16, Noble Electronics stock rose to a stunning 3% this week to a new record high, while Noble's latest iteration has yet to surpass the sheer popularity of its predecessors. An increased profit margin has left Noble shareholders very enthused. Many investors were skeptical when, at their now infamous 2084 trade convention, Noble announced that the 16th line would be the first generation of androids to feature over 50% organic components, so-called warm androids, which at this time only saw demand in the health, senior, and childcare sectors, were looked down upon as impractical due to increased maintenance costs, cuts, scratches, bruises, and the like. And while some critics voiced concerns that fringe religious or traditionalist groups might find warm androids controversial, more business-focused minds feared that Noble was alienating its customers in the industrial and military sectors in order to cater to civilian consumers, users that viewed their androids from across the room and not from above the factory floor. However, as has often been the case in the latest decade, Noble's doubters were proven wrong, and the Animate 16 is poised to brace profitability records. With no signs of slowing down, and many industry analysts predict that these once rare organic androids will completely replace their more robotic predecessors in daily life within the next 3 to 5 years. As described in the earnings report, much of the 16th line success, and indeed the success of Noble's androids in general, can be attributed to the remarkable lifelike personable charm of their products. And by all accounts, that charm can be attributed to the work of Noble's famed lead programmer, Dr. David Asher. The lead programmer is the understatement of the century, said Noble's brand ambassador Lucy Dees on stage during their last #Noble Industry Weekend. It's because of his Turing solution that every Noble product, from the sleekest assistants to the most advanced intensive care technicians, are so beloved and trusted by our customers. While his reputation was on full display at the event, Dr. Asher himself was nowhere to be seen. He's always been reclusive, but he's become a genuine hermit in the recent years. Are we really to believe that he's still, "Hey fam, looks like you're not logged into this device. Want to put in your account info so we can help you keep reading?" Who wants to help me get a subscription to the Wall Street Journal? No, fuck that. Good evening, it is me. What is this game and how it is even gayer than Ace Attorney? Don't worry about it. There's women here. I would make a statement, but you know, you love Yuri, don't you, Mordred? But still. Yeah. How are you? How was your chicken sandwich, by the way? He's in the news again. It's no wonder. Can't spit without landing on a piece of Noble tech these years. Especially not where the state's involved. Don't know if they'll bite when it comes to warm androids, though. For government use, they're just... Yeah, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. When I hear warm androids, I think of Humagears. And if you know my favorite Humagear, then you already understand that they're not built for actual combat. All androids undergo wear and tear, especially if they're directing traffic or suppressing crowds. So if these warm androids bleed pink all over themselves every time they take a rock to the cheek, it's just an endless stream of bad photo ops waiting to happen. Ironically, I have not read or watched much Yuri, and the sandwich was good. Still haven't finished the Coke I got with it. Understandable. You should come to a watch-along. We're gonna watch Muddy Muddy together. But, you know, we'll get to that when I have time in the day, you know? Okay. Nothing else jumps at me around here. I've got a better idea of who I'm dealing with at least. Now I need to check on the crime scene data. I should have been sent a link. Also, who's your favorite Huma gear? For the life of me, I want to say it's Taro, but that would defeat my point. I would also say it's Horobi for actually being the actual dad of the season, but at the same time, you know how it goes. Realistically, 01 is a lot of things. Consistent is not one of them, you know what I mean? I've always been partial to Izzy myself. Well, she's not a dad, she's a daughter, but at the same time, you're right. I don't know, some of the times the way she acts around Ottertho, it's a little bit debatable.
You've been granted access to state files regarding case KL433511. Reply C to confirm. You need to reply C in order to confirm.
Am I talking to a person? Wait.
I am an automated dependent.
Ads are usually more polite.
Our personalities are tailored to suit our users' preferences.
So the state likes you to be a little authoritarian?
You need to reply C. It's case sensitive. Thank you.
Alright, if I project from my phone. See, I admit to shipping her in Ottertho sometimes. I can understand that. I am mostly over here just going, there was an entire arc about comparing her relationship to Ottertho between Jin and Horobi, and that's my logic, you know? Even still, you can do what you want. I have no sway over this whatsoever. Alright, let's see what the police have. And what they think is important. Also, wait for it. Wait for it. Are you gonna go or not? Either way, I am queuing up another shout-out. Either way, how are you, Bill? How were the Transmorphers? But even still, let's see. I have a shout-out for your trouble. I'm over here just going, hey, look at that, it's that game you gave me. So far, it's actually very good voiceover practice, but still. And what they think is important.
The time of retribution.
There we go. It only took about 10 seconds more than I expected, but you know, apparently it's getting weird today. Let's see. Alright, I wish to examine the gun first of all. The murder weapon, a revolver, found right next to the body. 6 empty casings found in each of the 6 chambers, meaning the gun's been fired 6 times. Looks like the crime scene techs practically disassembled the damn thing. But all they found were fingerprints belonging to my client. So he was found by the police, with the murder weapon right in front of his body. I don't even know where to start. Highly prejudicial would be an understatement. My name is the police. I have a fantastic band, and every time we talk about it out of context, it's usually about something bad, but still. The victim's body. Cause of death, ballistic trauma, class 4 blood loss, atrium and aorta. Single gunshot wound to the heart. In brief, death was instantaneous. No injuries anywhere else, and no blood or skin under her nails. Blood splatter, forensics, and all that other good stuff tells them that she was on the shot from there. She was shot from there. So the killer was standing in the doorway when they fired. I kinda wanna snooze this ad. Give me a second here, thank you. That looks like a broken window. A stand-up mirror, shattered and knocked over. Real no screens or camera here. It was hit hard enough to come attached from its arm. Little shards of glass were scattered, far enough to land on the victim's body. What a mess. Bram. Seems like this vase got tossed aside at some point. And yet there's not a scratch on it. Must be pretty damn durable. Isn't art supposed to be delicate? Maybe it's making a statement. That's all the big-ticket items. What about the security? Looks like the apartment was unlocked all night. It's not uncommon for people their age in a neighborhood like this. But no signs of forced entry. Only hurts my client's case. What about the rest of the room? There's not much else flagged here. Just a lounge chair that's got throne and whatever that is. Unidentified ceramic debris? Flag is irrelevant. That's their technical assessment? Guess even the crime scene techs weren't sure what to make of it. Okay. That's everything that the police highlighted. But did I miss anything? I kinda want to go over it again, but let's see here. BRB, Ichi, need to finish my MD before weekly reset. You need to do your weeklies more, but even still. I get you, Spectre. You're gonna have to tell me about your team later. Let's see here. That's a broken clock. Maybe it's right twice a day. Let's see here. I don't know. I feel like I'm not seeing much of anything to work off here, but I'll wait. Something in the victim's hand? How the hell did... It's just a pill organizer. Looks like some immune adjusters, NSAIDs, and triprexazone, a synthetic glucocorticoid medication, taken daily to reduce rejection symptoms like phantom pain and generalized itch. The autopsy said her tox screen was clear, but it's not like it matters. Weird-shaped pill organizer. Some people like to be quirky. You put the Skittle, you put the orange Skittle with your estrogen, you know? But even still, I'm just over here just like, it's the future. Your pillbox can look like anything, you know? The autopsy said her tox screen was clear, but it's not like it matters. You could have swallowed every medicine cabinet in the city and it still wouldn't change the cause of death. It's odd, but ultimately irrelevant. Everything else here is all very incriminating, but the kicker's everything that's not here. No out-of-place DNA, footprints, crumbs. Nothing that points towards anyone except my client. Well, I've done more with less before, but not much more. I'm really gonna have to sing for my supper this time. Better get started. Who the hell is messaging me at this time of night? First person who comes to mind is... I suppose it could be something important. Okay, but who?
Red?
What couldn't wait until morning? Good
News, of fucking course. Got a job for you.
That's a pretty cheery way to tell me you violated parole.
Not that kind of job. Besides, I've been covering my tracks. This is something different. Kind of thing I can't handle with just the keyboard and the phishing scheme. I need you to sue my gym teacher.
Not that kind of lawyer. Sorry.
Hey, at least let me finish.
What do they do?
Make me run laps.
Not illegal. Let
Me finish.
They made
Me run laps. Even though I said I had a stomachache.
said. You gotta
Be like youth endangerment. Depraved indifference or some kind of shit.
Sounds like you've already got a strong case. Try self-representing this time.
What the blow off?
Nice phrasing. Oh,
Wow, I'm laughing so hard right now.
yeah, I can see why she's labeled on her phone as brat, but even still. Is that your mugshot?
Are we gonna not get a copy of my mugshot?
And you,
As a reaction?
glad you found a use case. But I'm working right now, so... Any
Cool?
homicide? Oh,
Cringe. Wait, what kind of homicide? Is it HBK?
is that the kind of morbid things you kids your age talk about?
Teens my age?
And yeah,
We can read. Compared to the corrupt shit in the headlines? Old-fashioned murder is Hardy B is like, great.
it's not heartbreak.
Then why'd you take the job? You see, the 98% conviction rate is a challenge or something? You're taking up a lost cause pro nose work?
It's pro bono. That,
Was autocorrect.
you know they give lit homework for a reason, right?
This is borderline concerned nagging. Maybe you really are a bleeding heart. Or just a sucker.
I'm not a sucker. Nice fr-
Thing.
You should go to bed, Fran. Tomorrow's Sunday.
I can stay up if I want.
Tomorrow is Sunday. Because today is Saturday. What's
The carpe diem shit.
It's nearly 4 a.m., kid. You've got school in like 3 hours.
Shit.
Repeat offenders may be good for business, but that kid's bad for my blood pressure. I'm over here thinking to myself, you live in America and yet you go to school on a Saturday? Okay, I see what the TV tropes page was talking about in regards to the whole Japanifornium logic going on in regards to this game, you know what I mean? It's good, but I'm also over here just like, wow. That's kind of the thing about it, isn't it? Cyberpunk media really loves blending in Japanese logic to things, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I can't complain about it too badly, you know? Important text message, I take it. Just your typical teenage drama. So then, if you wouldn't mind filling me in on a few details. Honestly, if I could fill in my own details in regards to this game, I feel pretty good about it. This is just a segue into the ad break that I actually need to put together as an ad break, but at the same time, you know how it goes. How are you holding up, chat? Are you liking this so far? Would you like to give a rate of my performance between 1 and 52? Because frankly speaking, I'm over here just like, I'm surprised people are into this kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe it's like me watching Anubis voice a Police Knots playthrough, and I'm over here just like, wow. I've never actually seen Police Knots played before this, but at the same time, you know how it goes. Realistically, I'm just over here just like, you give me good media to look at, I will probably look into it as well, you know? Mostly because, hey, look at that, that's kind of how I spend my time these days, because I'm mostly gone 15 hours of the day when I'm not, you know? Like I said, though, it's mostly just a case of I kind of need more uses for my time in the first place when I'm not doing stuff, so, you know, apparently, people have been talking a little bit about the sequel to Ronin Warriors that came out this week by the name of Yoroiden Samurai Troopers, and I'm over here just thinking to myself, I can see what's going on in regards to this. I feel like I needed to be a kid in the 80s to appreciate this, but at the same time, you know, it's good for what it is. My only complaint is that even as a person who tends not to dislike CG, I kind of wish it was blended in a little bit better, you know what I mean? If only for the fact that they decided to animate the actual magic armor aspect of it in CG over actual animated characters, and I'm just over here just like, yeah, this is the thing that everybody talks about where it's not actually homogenous, and I'm just over here just like, once again, Only Mappa and Trigger have been actually good at using CG to this degree, you know what I mean? Even still. Yo, how's the devil going? I hear she wears Prada. I don't know, you look at my lawyer and tell me that. Either way.
Hi, honey.
How are you, Jess? I hope it's going alright for you. Did you also have a Wendy's sandwich today? But even still. Me, I'm over here just like I got to do grocery shopping today. Grocery shopping is expensive, and I'm asking very nicely, if you are a bagger at a grocery store, if I buy eggs, please put them all in the same bag. I literally lost a carton of eggs because of you today, but even still. We all know how expensive those are these days, but still. The most I know of that movie is what I read from Homestuck, from a Homestuck React fic. To be fair, I haven't watched it. I'm over here just thinking to myself, it's because of chess that I'm forced to think about Sex in the City in 2026, and I'm over here just like, yeah, I understand. You enjoy your girly media, but even still. And that's not entirely fair. I'm over here just thinking to myself, it's one of those things where it's just like, I didn't grow up with this stuff. And me over here just going, I was forced to watch The Vampire Diaries in college, and that's enough for me. But you know, it be like that. That being said, returning back to what we're doing here, what do you think, chat? What do we... Well, actually, I did my due reading. I need to actually ask about androids, though. By the way, I couldn't help but notice you're light on staff. It's 3 in the morning. We were expecting a parade. I thought there'd at least be a few androids around. Wait, no, that was Reyes. I'm sorry, but even still. Aren't many androids in any police station this week. Not while the brass is renegotiating contracts. Contracts with Noble? Good guess. Hardly. They're the biggest. Hardly. They're the biggest robotics corp there is. Could spend all day in Center City without leaving their office's shadow. Yes, we're very fortunate to have their headquartered here. Saves us money on shipping at least. But these talks never last that long. I'm sure they'll be back to writing checks for Noble ads by the end of the month. Even with Noble pushing those warm androids. Warm? Ugh. Might as well call it the adult line. Might see, and the bigger departments are out on the patrol, but not around these offices. Warm or cold, there's no such thing as an android detective. Yet. Are you expecting to lose your job, sir? Yet. You really think that'll happen? We already use ads for patrolling, securing the scene, pacifying crowds. Doesn't seem like that big a stretch to me. You're joking, right? Android detectives? With all the pain we go through getting witnesses to talk to us? With your warm personality, I can't imagine. A cop knocks on your door, starts asking questions, you're gonna be put in a bad mood. An ad knocks on your door, calls you a degenerate criminal in a synthesized voice loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're gonna start posting shit that'll get you put on a list. Well, we certainly don't want that. Android detectives and Isaac Asimov would like to speak with them. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the 3 laws of robotics can't say an android can't do public service work, but you know, even still. But flesh and blood witnesses are becoming less and less common anyway. Cameras, sensors, satellites, we already got our facts from machines. Give it a few more years, it might make sense to let machines do the investigating too. The union would. The police union would never let that happen. She needn't have specified. It's the only real union there is anymore. Wow. I hate this timeline, but no. Let's see here. Could you summarize the timeline for me? I saw the time of death was 9 p.m. on the autopsy, but do you have the timeline for the rest of the night's events? Still ACAB, true. Listen, I want to believe that any union is good, but at the same time, I can understand being a little bit wary of cops, you know what I mean? Can't trust much of what comes out of his mouth. But we've managed, thanks to less biased sources. And we're pretty confident about what we've been able to piece together from the statements. So they interviewed witnesses? Sounds eerily similar to real police work. Well, suspect and his girlfriend were arguing loudly with one another starting around 8 p.m. Neighbors were very clear about that part. Also, hey, that's funny. She's got a hollow light eye in her eye instead of an actual eye. I see what they're going for in regards to that. I don't know. Sometimes I'm over here just like, I can appreciate the whole idea of, hey, look at that, you got cyborg detectives. As a cyborg myself, I can kind of understand. But you know, neighbors were very clear about that part. Wait to tell us about the happy couple's domestic problems. Everyone in the building knew they'd be fighting for weeks. As you probably gathered from what you saw in the arcs, there was a struggle. Furniture turned over, glass shattered. But things go quiet sometimes before 9 p.m. And then, there's a gunshot. Scrubbers are still scrubbing, looking for audio from the area to get a timestamp. But we've heard enough concerned citizens to be pretty damn sure about that time. Right. Emergency services got a burst of calls from the block shortly after 9 p.m. No one seemed to recognize the sound for what it was. But the silence that followed was pretty universally alarming. Officers arrive on the street at 9:08 p.m., establish a perimeter, enter through the open front door at 9:10 p.m., and then they find your client crouched over his dead girlfriend, his hand covered in her blood, at which point they move to secure the scene and the suspect. Sorry, did you say his hand? Singular? Your client's modded, cybernetic right arm. How modded are we talking? How modded are we talking here? Isaac Asimov actually wrote about an android detective, specifically about an android pairing up with a human to do detective work. At least the first couple books of the Robot series, starting with Caves of Steel, are about that. The movie I, Robot with Will Smith is more based on the I, Robot book, which was a collection of short stories. I really like that movie. It was solid. Really makes you wonder why people tend to hate it, but at the same time, you know how it goes. I was about to say that, well, David Cage even stole that while he was aping the We Have a Dream speech. I don't know. It's always a good day to hate on David Cage. I'm just saying. Give me a second here. I need water. I'm surprised nobody has actually redeemed the hydrate redeem, but you know. You don't want to throw water bottles at my head? I'm surprised, chat, but still. Registered with a HAL 85 Habilis. Industrial grade, looks like. Says he's spec'd for dexterous manipulation of up to class 4 KPA, which means a minimum grip strength of, well, basically, he could crush your neck without even gritting his teeth. Okay, why do we hate David Cage? Because he's a sexist hack who makes some of the most expensive video games just to LARP as a director while also creeping on Elliot Page, you get me? To the point of literally having an entire photo album of him in Taxi Driver. You get what I'm saying? Considering a career change? No, it's not that. It's just... your eye must be very sensitive for you to put the patch back on each time. And here I thought you just had a 14-year-old sense of fashion. Hey, Ichi, what the actual fuck? None of what I said is made up. Literally, this is the entire understanding of him as a director, not to mention, you know, the every woman I write is a whore angle of his directorial work, but you know, I don't know what to tell you. Oh my god, they do look chuny. That's what I'm saying though. Look at this poor woman. Reyes quite literally could not be any more of a chuny in this situation if they had blue hair and walked around with a soup ladle calling it a weapon. But you know, I recently watched Univio with Carp. It's understandable why I have this opinion, but you know. You think a cop would cover up her dominant eye because it was fashionable? I actually thought the same thing. I actually thought the same thing first time we met. You what? But getting back on track, that arm of his has been in the shop for some time now. He can't work without it. Money got tight. Be arguing? Yeah. When did he put his arm up it? When did he put his arm in for repairs? 8 days before HK's first victim was killed. Well, no chance they'll be willing to chalk that up to coincidence. Your client was arrested on the scene after a preliminary scan found his fingerprints on the revolver. And no one else's. A revolver? What kind? The old kind. The real old kind. More specifically a Calver MF4, 6-chamber, 10mm. Calver? How retro? You don't know the half of it. We're talking steel chamber, real gunpowder, mechanical firing pin, and no tags. No tags? How is that? Just how old are we talking here? You got a problem? I got a problem solver. Its name is Revolver. Is its last name Ocelot? I sure hope so, but still. Yeah, 24/7 location data, timestamp trigger pools, safeties coded to owner biometrics, ID tagged guns wielded by ID tagged soldiers given ID tagged paychecks. War has changed, but the weapons, they stay relatively the same. They sell good too, depending on if you can find a Drebin merchant, but still. For the past 3 decades, tags have made shooting crimes very unambiguous. So, you're saying my client used some sort of antique to commit these crimes? How else do you think he'd gotten away with this 5 other times? If he tried to buy a gun legit, he'd probably fail the very first psych check. God, I fucking wish we had that level of gun control. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Yes and no. I don't know. Personally, I'm over here just thinking to myself, we need it, but at the same time, if you've ever seen a character like Shogo Makishima, there's a good argument as to how and why expecting Machine to be able to do this kind of stuff is bad. But you know. But then again, that requires you to care about Gen Urobuchi's writing, which I know for a fact you do not, Moderate, but even still. And even jailbroken pieces are only good for so long before update withdrawal sets in. So then, M54, that's model year 2054. A 30-year-old gun. Well, that sure complicates things, doesn't it? In some ways, sure. But pre-tagging firearms are rare. Gotta be less than 1,000 of them left in the whole country, and fewer still compatible bullets. The ammunition would have been over 30 years old too. The novelty of this weapon has kept us in the dark so far. But now that we have our hands on it, it's gonna put him away for good. Archive department complained loud as hell about how deep they had to go to dig. But with the protocols they found, the techs were able to match the rifling marks on all 6 bullets to a gun your client was found with. Rifling marks. Bullets fired from guns that are old are marked by the barrel shape. So, if all 6 bullets had the same rifling marks, we know that they were all fired by the same gun. It's not as plug and play as tags are, but it's equally precise science, I assure you. And if that's not damning enough, the spent casings from the other 5 shootings were still in the chamber, without even needing to reload. The Calver your client was found with is the gun HK used to kill 6 women. No way to lawyer around that. An untied gun. Just being anywhere near a weapon like that could warrant your arrest. Being found by the police over a dead body with an untagged gun used at 5 other crime scenes is just... To summarize, then, you believe that my client fought verbally, then physically with his girlfriend? And then he retrieved this weapon and shot her? Yeah, pretty much. How did he look when the officers found him? guilty. How was his effect? Quiet, detached, stiff. Not exactly the picture of a grieving partner. That reaction may have lost him points with the cops, but beyond that, people react to loss in all kinds of unusual ways. Read The Outsider to find out more, but still. Every time I get the reference Merceau, it's gonna happen. But you know. And so long as the police are suspicious of you, there's no right way to grieve. I kinda want the details, yes. So how about the basics? What exactly has my client been charged with? Your client, Carlos Baker Flat, was arrested on the scene at 9:50 p.m. Using his middle name already, they really do think he's a serial killer. The charge being the first-degree murder of his girlfriend, a Miss Diane Dawn. First degree, that's increasingly rare. To say the least. It's rare for us to get handed anything but crimes of passion around here. City's got damn near more cameras than people. So you gotta be really, really stupid to try and get away with murder. Well, Heartbreak's gotten away with it 6 times. So, what makes that him? 5 times, and that makes him insane. I was gonna go with extraordinary. Let's split the difference and say he's extraordinarily insane. But nut jobs like that aren't renowned for their ability to think ahead. So, what makes you think that this was premeditated? How about the fact that he stalked and killed 5 other women as a warm-up? A warm-up? 5 previous bullets, 5 previous victims. None of them knew each other, lived near each other, worked in the same fields. Weeks of digital autopsies crawling up and down their online profiles. Nothing. So, this serial killer chose his victims at random? If they have nothing in common... Yeah, nothing in common at all. Other than they all looked like cousins. The physical similarities are striking. All 5 prior victims were young women with brown hair and eyes, about the same height, comparable weight. Well, those features aren't exactly uncommon. Couldn't it be a coincidence? If you really believe that, you should quit your job and start buying lotto tickets. HK's got himself a type. Anyone can see that. You really gonna try and tell me you don't see the resemblance? I don't know. I'm over here thinking to myself, she looks depressed, but I don't see a resemblance to anything. A young woman, brown hair, brown eyes. Can't tell how tall she is from a portrait, but I can take a hint. What do you mean, Bwomp? I don't know what to tell. I don't know what Reyes is getting at with this, you know? So, you think what exactly? That Carlos Flat wanted to kill his girlfriend so badly he went out and shot 5 other women first? In response to that looks depressed comment, you know what, that's entirely fair. I mean, to be fair, she looked very sad, you know? I don't know. Half of the time I'm over here thinking to myself, yeah, that's a cyberpunk dystopia for you. But even still. Hey, if the shoe fits, then you put on the shoe on the... What sunshine means is that it's not uncommon for killers to displace their violence from people close to them onto outlets with fewer consequences. Drifters, loners, strangers, workers. He was probably building up the nerve for tonight by practicing on these other similar women. Or he's just so far gone that he can't tell the difference anymore. It's not the worst theory in the world, but it doesn't fit. They want to claim that those previous victims were practice runs, dress rehearsals for tonight's main event. But if that were the case, they'd be signs of hesitation, nerves. There'd have been mistakes. On top of which, guns are impersonal, execution shots even more so. There's no sadism or hatred or intimacy in a single bullet to the heart. Killing your girlfriend on her lookalikes usually is, if nothing else, a lot less sterile. If you ask me. Yeah, what did you mean by that, Morgan? But still. Checking my phone here, and I have to say, you've done a pretty admirable job of keeping the details of HK's crimes a secret. The less reputable sites are doing some real journalistic acrobatics trying to piece together a story. Yeah, top 11 theories on who hurt HK was a real weighty read. It's not just journalists, though. All kinds have been emboldened. The freaks that HK's managed to bring out of the woodwork in just a few weeks. Can you blame them, though? I mean, he's a genuine serial killer. Repeat offenders are in general are endangered species, but he's gotten away with. We know what he's gotten away with. Take a look around us, Detective. National DNA registries are robust enough that cases never go cold. Cameras on every street, a phone in on every citizen. Violent crime at an all-time low and clearance rates at all-time highs. But you're gonna spout some alt-pol bullshit about invasion of privacy? That is not the term I expected from a cop, but alright. No, I'm not. People are safer now than in any other time in history, detectives. So, when something like heartbreak does come along... Good point. London's trying to look like he can laugh it off. But pressure from higher-ups must be reaching its peak. They want, maybe need, to see someone charged, and that makes them predictable. Yeah, well, even if there's nothing standard about HK, Department SOP still dictates we starve the media for case details. That way, when we do feed them, they're grateful whatever scraps they get. Hey, Morgan, what the fuck? You gotta remember, she is a criminal defense attorney. She kinda has to play a little bit of the devil on her shoulder, you know? It's in the name, you know? But we can't take all the credit this time around. Homicide's tight-knit and tight-lipped, but it's not like there's much information for us to leak in the first place. And why is that? Because none of the shootings were caught on the opt-in crime surveillance system. Wait. What? How is that even possible? I know that there are some rough areas in the lower wards, but Optics is watching every other street in the entire city. You're saying you haven't seen this killer on camera once? You think we'd have let him kill 6 people if we did? I understand your concern, ma'am, but optics is only what it says in the name. It's surveillance systems signing up to feed into the state security network. It's not perfect, just another one of many public safety tools in our belt. It's not meant to be perfect, it's meant to help us solve crimes. Or at least act as a deterrent. One would hope so. Bad chance. Deterrents are for war rooms and board meetings. Anyone crazy or desperate enough to commit a crime in a city like this couldn't care less about anything as vague as the consequences of their actions. It's like a safety blanket, one with very few holes left in it. So, on the scale of Night City to the city, how crapsack is this sitting in this setting? From what I understand, we have not gotten to the point of synthesized lunch meat yet, so I want to say I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 in the oh god we're fucked situation, you know what I mean? It is a police state, you can't deny that, but it's also a police state that also completely, almost entirely abolished the concept of murder, so there is that, at least. but it does have holes. Matching up those remaining holes takes effort, and that effort usually means rebooting the system. Even a majority of the nests aren't invading privacy this hard. True. The difference between that and an actual nest in the Project Moonverse is you have to... I'm gonna keep it a buck. You know how there is this thing going on with South Korea in which people will literally basically go to college to work at Samsung? That's how bad it is in a nest. Here, it feels like normal, except that there's a lot more surveillance going on. Naturally, I'm over here to think to myself, wow, this is the boring dystopia. But it's not, because it's actually got something going on here, but at the same time, you know, we wouldn't have a game otherwise. Being in the city is still the nth degree level of suffering. It's just that it's way more exaggerated than what's going on right here, you know? I'm sorry, I need more water. Give me a second here. Voicing London is drying out my throat way more than I expected. Let's see here. There are all kinds of technical details and digital bureaucracy involved. But the end result is that there are occasional localized blackouts. And the math used to schedule them is not impossible to predict. I see. But those windows of opportunity are small and short. Taking advantage of them requires specific knowledge. You'd need to be involved in law enforcement, pub data, or city planning. They'd have mentioned it if my client was a cop, and he wouldn't have needed a public defender either. His file says he's modded for heavy mass manipulation, not tech interfacing, so that just leaves city planning. So does he work construction for the city? HK's only ever struck at times in locations where optics would be down. Even with the devil's own luck, it can't possibly be coincidence. Wait, so you're saying when this woman was killed? Yeah, there was a blackout from around 8 to 9 tonight. Right on schedule, so to speak. And it's included in the area surrounding the victim's apartment. Well, what about DNA from other crime scenes? Was my client the match? There's been no blood, no saliva, no suspect DNA at any of the crime scenes. No footage and no forensics. Also no motives, tampering, or witnesses. It's been like hunting a damned ghost. We didn't even have a murder weapon. Until now. Finally, a lucky break for the boys in blue. Scanners, cams, drones, forensics. No matter how you dress it up with tech, all detective work relies on one basic assumption. People make mistakes. But HK is the kind of monster who doesn't make mistakes. Only reason we've got him tonight was because he finished what he had set out to do all along. So was my client on the list of suspects before tonight? Weren't you listening? There was no list of suspects. We questioned some X's, a few CIs, someone even spoke to one or two unlisted. Some even spoke to one or two unlisted at some point. You know what? Give me a second here. What does he mean by that? Let me see here. Apparently, it's not actually in the term right there. Let me see here. Well, it is certainly considerable. I feel as though a lot of these were given to us in context already, but at the same time, it's nice that it's there, you know? Meanwhile, look at my money. I'm so good at finding context clues. Let's see. There was talk about starting on some kind of psyche valve or something, but I never expected much to come of that. There's just not enough there to work with. In other words, the only thing they have, the only thing they could have to link my client to those killings is the murder weapon. If I can jostle that keystroke, then the rest of their case should start to come loose as well. Thanks for the chat, detectives. I think I understand the background well enough now. Candidly, I see the same strokes you do, and the picture paints it isn't pleasant. But even so, it seems a bit unrefined to be brought before a judge, don't you think? Hey, it's only our job to catch the bastard. The DA is the one who gets the conviction. Besides, we're not exactly gonna have to work hard to convince anyone of his guilt. And why is that? Because we found a handwritten confession at his desk. Well, that's, unexpected. I'm sorry, you're now telling me that he wrote a confession? Has it been verified? Not yet. We have to muscle past everyone in fraud and disinfo to get to the front of that line. Why bother? The note's covered in his fingerprints. There's a copy in discovery data, but I should warn you, it doesn't exactly make for light reading. Oh, I have to manage somehow. I need to see this confession for myself. Sorry for everything. Can't say it enough. Didn't mean to hurt you or do what I did. Did not want any of it to happen. Can't stay in control when I get mad. When I'm not in control, I hurt people without meaning to. Wish I hadn't broken them. Didn't mean to at first. But I was hurting. Wanted you to hurt too, but didn't want to hurt you. Words aren't enough. I know that now. But I'll take responsibility and do what I've been avoiding. Please forgive me. That was difficult to read. Barely legible, in fact. Well, got a spin on that? No need. But it's a confession. Not a confession that he signed, though, is it? Not yet. And not one he intends to sign anytime soon, considering that he asked for representation. Yeah, the most wanted man in the city asked for a lawyer and got you. Guess you're both lucky. Hardly. I just happened to be awake when the call went out. But I'm not so flush with work that I can afford to turn tail now. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to go speak with my client. What? He's not still handcuffed in there, is he? Look, counselor, with all due respect, we have strong evidence pointing to that man being responsible for 6 murders. 2 hours or so in cuffs isn't cruel or unusual. And that's for your safety as well. It's kind of you to worry, but I doubt I'll be in any danger. He's killed 6 women. None of them were redheads. Yeah, that's that kind of silver lining that just makes you go, yeah, this woman is actually low-key kind of evil, but you know. Seriously, though, I'd like to speak with him alone now. Camera's off, if you don't mind. Mic's on or off is your call, counselor. But we'll be watching the feed from right outside in case anything happens. And the cuff, that is, stays on. That worried about me. How chivalrous. Yeah, my armor's practically blinding. Gross, I'll start up the unlock cycle. Counselor, just one last word of advice. If you have any interest in his well-being, I'd suggest you'd help him sign that confession. Not a bad idea. I do get paid either way. But the defense part of the defense attorney isn't just for show, detective. I mean it. 6 people dead is one thing, but he also caused weeks of widespread terror and public unrest. Putting it another way, he's made the state look bad. That's a capital crime if there ever was one. And if the death penalty is not actually on the table these days, I can guarantee he's not gonna let whatever rehabilitation plan they draw up for him. Look, I've seen the virtual work release program in person, and it's being challenged before the Supreme Court. Yeah, sometime in the next decade, maybe. Just remember, a plea deal might feel like a loss for you, but it keeps him from, well, that's probably a win for your client, right? Prison sentences are generally lighter for those who plead guilty. That much is true. It saves the courts a great deal of time and money, and they show their gratitude with reduced sentencing. But no one will ever be grateful towards the heartbreak killer. Anyone convicted for killing 6 people, they'll never rest their mind another day in their life. I mean, she is right. At that point, you are pretty much dead to rights, you know? You'll be lucky if you get a cell, much less the chair, but still. Look at this dude. Does this dude's mug look like somebody who would kill his girlfriend out of passion, but still? It's depressing as hell in here. They need to liven this place up. Yes, actually. You know what? Fair enough. You're so right. Carlos flat, was it? Hope you don't mind if I get comfortable. Wow, she took off her jacket and everything. She looks... I cannot stop wanting to make myself sound like Kafka, but at the same time, you know, that's not fair. Let's see here. We've got a lot to cover, but this shouldn't take all night. What are you? Look, I already told your people I didn't... I'm not a cop, Carlos. Furthest thing from it. I'm a lawyer. Your lawyer, in fact. And I'm here to help you. Yeah, well... They said that too. All of them did. Back there, or in there, kept repeating the whole ride over. They said that they were going to help me, but they knew that this was all a mistake. Then they said that I killed, acting like they were on my side, and they thought that I could have, It's not their job to help you, Carlos, but it is mine, and I'm here now. He's still in shock. I need more information, but if I approach this the wrong way, he'll just clam up even more. I'm sure you're exhausted. It's probably difficult to think, let alone speak. But I'd like you to try and answer a few questions. The police already questioned you, I'm sure. But they were treating you as a suspect, not as a client. Okay. So what do you want to know? What was your day job? More importantly, where is your arm right now? Let's start simple. Something mundane, grounded, rote. I'd like to know a bit more about you, Carlos. Something like... What line of work were you in? I'm with city engineering. Or I was, or I should be. As I thought, the police must be convinced he mapped out the optics blackouts using data he stole from work. My arm. I got it slotted for the job. And, Carlos, I'm gonna need more than that. So, what do I know? He works in city engineering, not a desk job. Reyes said he was modded for work, and that arm must be in custody at the moment, but based on his shoulder, it'd have to be pretty... I'm going to guess that it's supposed to be multi-use, considering the fact of modded for work could mean darn near anything, but at the same time, you know, lifelike implies that it would be the case that it would be more like an actual prosthetic rather than something you use as a tool, you get me? So based on that, utilitarian, yeah. He doesn't strike me as the type who's enamored with aesthetics of modding. The young and the restless and the rich, swapping in neon and chrome limbs because they like the way it looks, or the way it makes other people start looking at them. No, he's pragmatic, grounded, and very unlucky. In which case, I should be too. You know, my brother wanted to mod. Really? Really? I don't even have a brother. He had everything planned out. A whole career path of promotions and bonuses and the upgrades they'd afford him. Then came his 18th birthday present, test results politely informing him that he is not a viable candidate. That sucks. I think he felt relieved, actually. Seemed like it was a weight off his chest. Oh, god damn it, they used his hand to fake the They used his hand to fake the confession. I believe it. I'm gonna be real with you. If they confirm that the brother is right-handed, it's pretty much given, you know? Oh, hey, this is an actual interrogation tactic. Yeah, lie to the witness. Butter them up. Make them seem like you're relatable or something, you know? I feel like this is a Danganronpa strat, too. But, you know, I kind of played the Danganronpa game straight, if you know what I mean. But even still. Like he was glad he didn't have to choose. Does that make any sense? Yeah, I think it does. I always figured I'd start at I figured if I'd start at all, I'd start small. A hand or an eye, test the water. Never thought about lobbing off my whole damn arm, but the recruiter was enthusiastic. He said, because of the NCDA, there was financial aid and resources. Of course, I got shit canned, so now me and every other modder is royally screwed. Couldn't even let me keep the tax credit. The New Citizens with Disabilities Act was amended, not repealed. But I doubt he'd appreciate the distinction at the moment. I'll work the tighter spaces, the high-volt environments, mostly canopy upkeep. Typical stuff for modders, you know? He's speaking freely now. Don't need to do much more than repeat his words back to him and keep talking. But the right word choice here or there can still make a difference. You work on the canopy. You must be strong, good with heights, under a lot of pressure. I'm going to assume, based on the fact that this one is green, as in we did the required reading, that this one is probably better for us, considering the rest are a little bit generic, considering. And given the situation in of itself in which he is actually financially indebted to keep up with this job, I would be under the impression that he's probably stressed to shit right now, you know? You must be under a lot of pressure now that the subways are cordoned off. Damn straight. And this crap with Long? Once word got out that the case against him was real, every desk job in the chain became terrified of their own shadow. All of them convinced that internal affairs is gonna come knocking if they misplace so much as a paperclip. Everything's by the book means no room for compromise, no room for problem solving, no room for engineering. Yeah, and no patience for screw-ups. He's trying very hard not to look at his shoulder. Why aren't you wearing your prosthetic right now, Carlos? Yeah, that. Rejection issues starting last month. A lot of sleepless nights. Rejection? Did the therapy not take? It's not like that. I wasn't oozing pus out of my sockets or anything. Then, do these rejection issues have anything to do with your scars? Not in the way you're thinking. Rival. You. Sace, how are you? What have you learned from your visit to the ER today, but even still? I'm right-handed. So those cuts on his face are just from shaving? Never thought this would go on so long. I'd have to relearn how to do everything. Alright then, chat, what did I say before? He is right-handed, the prosthetic is his dominant, and he's having rejection symptoms. They use that arm to forge a confession out of him. But you know. I mean, the problem started small, trembling, but then spasms. Just oversensitivity, they said. An easy fix. But the problem got bigger. Wait, no. But the problem got bigger? Couldn't let it get that far. Need to be able to trust your own hands when you're on the job site. Drop a cutter in the wrong moment and people could get hurt. So I sat down, made an appointment, and turned in my arm. And watched my case get placed at the back of the damn line. Why did you turn it in? Some mass turnaround chop shop with a waiting list like you wouldn't. It doesn't sound like you're a happy customer. Hell no. About a dozen other clinics with shorter wait times. But as long as I'm renting and not owning, the manufacturer decides where your arm gets maintenance. And that's why I'm sitting here with this expensive-ass stump for a shoulder. I haven't been able to work in weeks. Bosses were generous enough to say my position might still be there when I've got 2 working arms again. You couldn't buy or rent a replacement yourself just in the meantime? I serve the pleasure of the state. And they've got exclusivity contracts with Hindi, all locked up white-knuckle tight. Hindi? How Industries? As I recall, he's registered with one of their habilis models. If I took one step on site with uninsured tech, forget the fines. I'd lose the down payment and all on my I'd lose the down payment and my arm. And I'd never work in this city again. If this was last quarter, maybe I could have worked something out with management, but like I said, no one's sticking their neck out for anyone now that belongs in the deep hot shit. You mentioned discomfort. Are you in pain? Pain'll come and go. It's the itches that'll kill ya. And the phantoms come back pretty fast when I don't have anything arm-shaped attached to me. Didn't they give you something to, well, wear in the meantime? Something the clinics lend out for cases like this? What they gave me is a dead-weight, 3-jointed landfill-bait piece of shit. Sorry. It's a very shitty feeling, having part of your body that you know they cut corners on. It fits. It's compatible, technically. I can slot it in and feel on balance again. But the fingers don't even bend, and the quick twitch motors are way off. It's like walking around with your arm asleep, or dead. As someone who gets itchy real easy, yes, Carlos, yes it is. Yeah, frankly speaking, it's just one of those. It's a little bit like reading up on that one torture technique where they just randomly drop a dollop of water on your face. It's not waterboarding, but it will drive you insane, you know what I mean? Let's see. So, were you wearing it then? Wait, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Asking him if it was there when he was arrested feels more poignant than implicating him on the idea that he murdered somebody with it, you know what I mean? Either way. Were you wearing it when you were arrested? No, I wasn't. But I'm pretty sure I saw the police bagging it as evidence, so can't have gotten too far. So Detective Reyes was being quite literal about how he was found. He had the victim's blood on his left arm, only because at the time in question he didn't even have a right. No inconsistencies with the story so far, and he's opened up about as well as can be expected. But this has all just been a warm-up for the both of us. Now comes the delicate part. Carlos, you and the victim were romantically involved. How long did you two know each other? Right. I've known her since college. We shared a few classes, some mutual friends. Always got along. Eventually, we just got together at some point. Guess I never asked her out the real formal way. Sounds pretty cowardly saying it out loud. Diane, she was in genetics, focused her studies on agriculture. It always takes them a few tries to get used to using past tense. Just finished her post-grad work this year. Got hired right out of the gate, practically headhunted. You believe that? Practically headhunted. Of course she was. Any company will be lucky to have her. Unlike. It was a real ass job. Paid real ass money too. So her career was starting to pan out. Whereas yours had fallen into the mother of all slumps. Where was she hired? Pedigree? No, Pedigree Laboratories. I'd say that, like, the name matters, or the whole setup's under Harco's umbrella. That doesn't narrow it down. The Harvest Corporation grows a third of the soybeans and corn in the entire country. One client that size, the lab wouldn't need any others. No corporation earns the mega prefix without a little throat cutting, but Harco is about as tame as big business can get. Wow, I am flubbing this woman's sense of words, but even still, predictable like the seasons. No one's gonna buy that they had some lab tech murdered because of corporate greed. But she adjusted well to her new job. Yeah, they loved having her there. She never mentioned arguments or disputes, corporate politics getting rough. I don't think so. Not like I've been a good listener lately. But I never got the impression that she... Look, no one I know could do this to her. And there's nothing she could have done that would have deserved what happened to her. It was a long shot hoping for a disgruntled character from her past to shift blame onto. But with no other suspects, I can't just reshuffle the detective's suspicions. I'll have to disprove their argument entirely. Thank you, Carlos. That was very helpful. It was. Now, I'd like you to try and tell me whatever you can about what happened tonight. No, oh. Start at the beginning, and take your time. The details are important. Alright, Miss, Morgan. I'll try, Morgan. When you're ready. We were arguing. We have been arguing a lot lately. Arguing about stupid stuff. I've been working. I haven't been working. Haven't been making money. Haven't been pulling my weight. I was mad at myself. But more than that, I was jealous of her. Jealous over nothing. Jealous over goddamn money. The reports say you were arguing around 8 p.m. 8? Yeah, that must have been when it started. We got into it and I said a lot of things that I shouldn't have. And I said one thing I really, really shouldn't have. 1 sec, water. I crossed the line, and we both knew it, so I left. You left? Yeah, walked out the front door. Thought some fresh air might help me cool off. Help me figure out what to say to make up to her. Of course, the air wasn't fresh, just humid, thick like mud. And while I was pissing away the time, Diane was... Did you bring your phone with you, or any other electronics? No. I kinda stormed off. Didn't even take my key fobs. Didn't even lock the door behind me. With optics down, traffic and street-level cameras won't help him. That leaves... Did you go through a checkpoint or talk to anyone with modded eyes? Did you buy anything, cash or credit? Oh, not even a vending machine. Not even a damn vending machine, huh? I may have met my match. How can anyone be this unlucky? That's quite unfortunate. I just wanted quiet at the time. Wanted to wallow in it, really. Sorry if I don't have all the details straight. My head is. But if my exact route would help, the cams probably... What? What is it? Optics was what? Can that even happen? And there's no other proof that you were out at the time Diane was killed. Meaning you've got no alibi. Well, this isn't... This can't. Listen, I didn't do this. I couldn't... Carlos. I'm the one person you don't have to try and convince. After all, I'm your lawyer. So let's just get it all out there and see what we've got to work with. Right. Now that you've said you left to clear your head. So what made you come back? I came back because I heard a noise. A loud noise. Didn't know what it was. But it was loud and it scared me. And it came from the direction of our apartment. I was walking back at first. But at some point I must have started running because when I got back I was so out of breath. And when I saw that the front door was open, something dropped in my chest and my lungs wouldn't. You live on the first floor, right? Yeah, first floor apartment, street-facing entrance. We were proud of that when we first moved in. Like it was some kind of big deal. From the hallway I saw her, but I didn't realize. I never thought that she was... The lights were off. The whole room was a mess. I thought we had been robbed, or she had fallen, or there was broken glass, furniture knocked over. And she was... I called her name and she didn't move. I checked her pulse, and she was still warm. Her blood was warm. And I saw... the gun. It looked so heavy, but I thought it had to be fake because I didn't want it to be real. Is that why you picked it up? What? Pick it up? I didn't touch that thing. I didn't shoot her, damn it. Doing what I do, you hear a lot of lies. White lies, blatant lies, hasty lies. Bad lies especially. For me, it's always been easy to spot a lie. But it can't be hard to know what to do. It can be hard to know what to do about it. I have all the proof I need in my files, but he's nervous and defensive. And none of this works if he doesn't trust me. Alright, stay up to date on the details of all evidence by checking your phone. If your clients notice that you don't know what you're talking about, they'll stop giving you any credit. You did touch the gun, Carlos. That's just a fact, and we know because... You know what? Give me a second here. Evidence, let's see here. Out of Flat's coat, Flat's note with the revolver. A Calver M54 6-chamber 10mm revolver. Perfect time to actually discuss the ad break at the same time. Let's see here. Bear's fingerprint smudge in Carlos Baker Flat's left hand with a 99.91% certainty. Rifling marks match the bullet which pierced the victim with 99.97% accuracy. Rifling marks match the bullets from previous heartbreak killings with 99.98 to 99.989% certainty. No matches to any other archived forensic data as far back as 2051. Yeah, we need to address the fact that whoever the actual heartbreak killer is, They shot this woman with a 30-year-old revolver to deal with the fact that all other guns are ID tagged, and it's crazy to think about how that's certainly a thing, you know what I mean? I'm over here just thinking to myself, it could be the genuine case that this is a crime of passion, but at the same time, it's not lining up with the rest of the testimony, if you know what I'm talking about. Ultimately, I'm over here just like, I'm trying to speculate, but at the same time, I could see why this is so open and shut in the eyes of somebody as straight-laced, and not in a good way, as Ray is, you know what I mean? I don't know. She's definitely labeled bad cop for a reason. At least London got the joy of, hey, look at that, I may just be a cop. I may not be good or bad, but I'm at least trying my best, you know? Ray is, feels like a jerk for no reason at all. But, you know, it comes with the territory, I suppose. They really hammered home the fact that they are basically the beatnik department, because frankly speaking, one doesn't care, and the other cares too much to the point of basically just being there to book people and nothing else, you know what I mean? Hard to say, but it certainly feels that way, you know what I mean? Am I spitballing just for the sake of getting the ad break to stop? Maybe a little bit, but you understand what I'm talking about, right? Hopefully, but even still. Oh, it's all over the place is my point, but at the same time, you know, where'd it go? We found your fingerprints at the scene of the crime. There's not much else we can do about that. It was registered to you. We look at the unregistered gun. Let's see here. It's a fact that your fingerprints are on that gun. What? But I didn't do this. I didn't. I wasn't thinking, I was just... Carlos, all I'm saying is that you picked it up. That's all. Would you believe me if I said I didn't realize it was a gun? That explains how his fingerprints got on the gun, but not in a way that would satisfy the police. Still, if all he did was hold the gun... Stupid. I know what a gun looks like, but seeing it in my own home right in front of... You're in shock, Carlos. You still are. The police came in sometime after that. I don't remember much of what they said. Things started moving fast, it seemed like. The rest of my night went probably the way you'd expect. Carlos, you admit to having a verbal argument with Diane, but you said you were surprised to see the room trashed when you got back. To clarify, you're saying that you two never had a physical fight? What? Physical? We never fought. We never fought like that. Did the police say that we did? They assumed as much. Which means they also assumed that the room was disheveled well before the shooting occurred. Considering what Carlos had told me, what else did they assume? What is it? I'd like you to take a look at something for me. The crime scene. Oh. It's an AR module built from data taken as the police entered, so... Right. It's just that. It's just data, Carlos. No grisly details. Okay. Let me see it. Take your time. Alright, what do we learn from that? Alright. I think I've got it. That's how the police found things. Now close your eyes and think back to how the room looked when you left. Try and focus on what's out of place. Alright. I'll take notes. You just say whatever comes to mind. I don't remember exactly where everything was. But, well, the mirror was upright, of course. And the clock was still on the wall. The chair got knocked over at some point and the bed got tossed, the cushions torn, and the urn fell. Other than that... No. Sorry, that's all that stands out to me. I see. Like so. What's wrong? Something out of place? Carlos, you need to trust your instinct. If anything seems off, don't be afraid to speak up. My girl can't draw. Unfortunate. It's just that I assumed your notes would be making edits to the AR. Well, I suppose that works too. Sorry, I didn't mean. I think your drawing was pretty good considering. I'd like to change the subject now, Carlos. She's embarrassed of herself. Right. Let's talk about the letter that was found on your desk. Letter? What do you mean? I mean this letter here. Do you recognize it? Because the police are calling it a confession. A confession? But this is just a note to self. Pardon. Look, when we fight, I lose my temper. Say things I don't mean to. So this morning I tried writing things down so I'd have a script to stick to. So I could apologize to her instead of just fighting with her. Carlos, you say in the note that you hurt them? I broke her fidget tubbies. This brother is the most unlucky piece of shit I've ever seen. I'm gonna be so for real right now. Her what? Her what? Her fidget tubbies. They're these collectible ceramic character things. They're supposed to be like tactile. You use them as paperweights or conversation starters. Conversation starters? The only conversation I want to have is why does your girl collect Labubus, but still. She loves those little things. They're not worth a damn. You can buy them at any flea market or garage sale, but they meant a lot to her. And I broke them. Jesus, he's almost reaching Nogami line or Baku levels of unluckiness. I'm gonna keep it a buck. We're reaching the point that this guy is literally just Ryotaro with a little bit of a build on him. This man is so unlucky. God looked at him and just went, oh man, I can't even send him to hell. He's got too much going on right now, but let's see. I mean, I was pissy at the time, but that goddamn piece of shit rental arm, I hardly knew where I'm swinging it half of the time. Also, I like those. Remind me of calico critters. Man, it really took my early 20s to actually start collecting shit. I don't know what the fuck that is, but I'm so glad for you. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I did not have money growing up. You can understand why I value the things that I do now, but still. Got so angry I just ripped it off and tossed it in my room. That cheap, dusty, worthless. Okay, let's say he did break her Frigiduckies with his replacement arm. What does that change? Nothing at the moment. There's not enough detail in the note for me to prove what his intent was when he sat down to write it. But if the police insist on claiming it's a confession for the heartbreak killings anyway, couldn't even bother to sweep them up. I thought so. Alright, Carlos. Thanks for answering my questions. Now I'm going to call the police back in here and I'm going to get this cleared up for you. What? That's it? That's it? Oh. Okay. Although, before I do that, I do have to ask. What do you know about the Heartbreak Killer? Heartbreak? You mean that psycho that was trending all month? I mean, as much as anyone, I guess? I haven't been getting out much, but I'm sure everyone's on edge. A guy like that out there. He shoots people. Through the heart, right? He breaks their hearts? He breaks them with their heart shot through the heart, and he's to blame? He gives love a bad name? The police have kept victims' appearances far away from any upstanding news sources. So unless he's already following the murders, Carlos wouldn't have noticed any resemblance to his girlfriend. I mean, she was shot in the chest, but that doesn't mean anything, does it? If he's this slow on the uptake, it's gonna be a real shock when those officers walk in here and accuse him of being a serial killer. I'll just have to squash that theory as quickly and definitively as possible. I can't wait to make Reyes look stupid. Let's see. I didn't. Ow. Xana, do you like my silly fit? Even still, I hope you're doing alright. How are you? I didn't realize you could smoke in here. Technically, I can smoke wherever I want. Wait. What do you mean she was fined for smoking? That's fucking crazy, but you know, that's accurate. That's what you should be doing. Let's see. I guess so. Nervous? Don't be. I'm the one who's on the clock. Right. I'm sure this isn't your first time doing this. No, of course not. It will be my first homicide defense, though. Oh. Why does everyone think the first time's so goddamn important? Hey, cheer up. I've got relevant experience in other areas. Oh. And, what areas are those? You ever gamble, Carlos? No, ma'am. I never go anywhere near loot boxes. Won't touch the stuff. I meant more like playing cards. Well, she is old. Oh, well then, no to that too. I've actually got pretty terrible luck. Could have fooled me. Well, what I do is a lot like poker, Carlos. Poker's nice because even if you dealt nothing but crap all night long, you can still win. Which makes things pretty fun. Okay, so, do you have a good poker face? I like to think so. And are you lucky? Only when the stakes are high. And, in this metaphor, we're playing poker. And the state's the dealer? If only. No, the state's more like... the house. You mean like, the house always wins? Yes. They're very good at it. Winning, I mean. That's why they're up there, and we're down here. That's why they're the house. So, what do? We play the cards we're dealt as best we can, win more hands than we lose. Keep it up and eventually, someone will come over and tap the dealer on the shoulder and whisper something in their ear. And then we'll be politely asked to leave. That doesn't sound very triumphant. The house always wins. So our definition of victory is more like, don't lose. Thanks, Morgan. But I guess I was more asking, like, what should I say? Just leave all the talking to me. So that's the strategy? What's up? You know, there's a saying about gamblers with strategies. Yo, ready to confess yet? Because I already woke up the DA. Already? She must be new. The district attorneys have final say on whether or not a case is brought to trial. Only fair, since they're the ones who end up having to actually prove the damn thing. Most of them prefer simple guilty pleas over long, protracted trials. And they all dislike having their time wasted. Unfortunately, then, you'll have to call them back. Because my client is not guilty. And frankly, I'm not even sure you have enough to hold him here. Right. What she said. You've got a weird sense of humor, counselor. Different generation, I guess? Before my time kind of thing. I'm very serious when it comes to defending a man's innocence, detective. Counselor, we have your client's written confession. His written confession. Let's start there. Okay, we'll be happy to. The thrust of every argument starts with the facts, what's already known and agreed on. Public knowledge for every player at the table. It's pretty simple, counselor. Real paint-by-numbers stuff. See, we found a note at his apartment with his fingerprints on it, apologizing for how he hurt them all so bad. Now, how are you planning on spinning that? Those are the facts. But I've been building my hand all night. And now I've got the weapons to answer anything they'll try and throw at me. Well, my client did write that note, and it was an apology. But not for murder. He was apologizing for... Analyze the facts as they're laid out, then review them in response. Review the responses in your hand. Select the card that best answers the argument and place it into the slot on the right. You can mouse over your opponent's portrait for a reminder on what key point you're answering. Alright, let's see here. Ceramic crap near western window. Murder weapon linked to 5 other crimes for lad's fingertips. Fingerprints, I should say. What if I moused over you? He wrote a confession. Yeah. For breaking shit, but even still. He was simply apologizing for this. The hell is that? I found myself asking the exact same question. What are we looking at here? Something from the crime scene? This diagram of the room, it's created from data you captured, right? Pure non-GMO augmented reality crime scene data, yeah. What's non-GMO? Oh, she is young, oh no. Not much these days. Notice anything out of place? Yeah, the whole room's full of busted shit. It's the scene of a murder. Full of busted shit for sure. But I was more referring to the unidentified ceramic debris found on the western side of the room. The hell is that? Ceramic debris, huh? Must have been from the vase that got tossed. Actually, that's not possible. Oh? Because that vase? Well, first of all, we already know that it wasn't damaged. Second of all, we also know that, frankly speaking, considering where it is, it wouldn't have actually left debris like that and not leave a trail. So I'm gonna say, yeah. It's not possible for that debris to have come from the vase. Because that vase is still pristine. How was that even possible? What do you mean by that, Flat? Stop incriminating yourself right now. The lady at the garage sale told me it was so old and delicate. Damn it. The one time I try and thrift shop on my own. Well, so what? What does it even matter? If the vase doesn't have a scratch on it, then the debris must have come from somewhere else. That debris is what my client wrote that apology over. You're saying that the confession was his apology for not vacuuming? I am, because that pile of rubble is all that remains of the victim's collection of fidget tubbies. What he said. I like how it has to play the glam music to just let you know, hey, look at that, it's a very rare collectible. You should appreciate that. While he's out here trying not to end up on death row. But you know. Mr. Flat broke the victim's ceramic figures by accident. And this impassioned note to self was just his attempt at scripting out an apology. Can you prove that? We're taking this seriously? As much as I wish they weren't. We're all in agreement that my client wrote that note. And we can all plainly see that there's ceramic debris at the scene of the crime. Now, since it couldn't have come from the vase, it must have come from the collectibles. Simple, right? The hell are you on about? The entire room was trashed, as the arcs clearly shows. Those fidget tubbies must have gotten pulverized during the struggle too. You really gonna claim he sat down to write an apology for breaking her toys after gunning her down? Not a bad train of thought, but I can do better. No, those collectibles were destroyed much earlier than that, and there's proof. Murder weapon linked to no, stiff and untidy, dusty. Fidget tube slayer were in custody. Found in Flat's room. Yeah. I'm inclined to believe it's the rental arm, but at the same time, you know, let me see here. Evidence. Flat's rental. Records show Carlos Flat was provided this model while his habilis was being repaired. Carlos discarded it in frustration after smashing into the victim's collectibles and hasn't been worn since. Currently in police custody. I am correct. I am so good at reading comprehension. Let's see here. Just take a closer look at the rental you took into custody. One swipe of your fingers should show exactly how devastating it was to the fickle buddy ecosystem. It's fidget tubbies. Whatever. Move on, whatever. Let's see. You did take it into custody. I'm sure your techs found ceramic debris on it, yes? Now that you mention it. Fine, whatever. He broke them with his arm. While he was killing her. Happy? Overjoyed because not even a cheap arm's got an operating system that it logged the last time it was worn, right? Right. Oh, Reyes likes those. I think Reyes felt a little bit offended. You're so right. Let's see. See? I happened to spot a footnote on the lab report said that a rental arm had been used since the AM. Whose side are you on, old man? It's gotten pretty late, sunshine. Just trying to save us all some time where I can. Well, thank you for your service. Are you seriously buying this crap? Just look at how scrawled, how panicked that note is. You expect me to believe that he was upset over a fidget tubby collection? One that hasn't even been graded? Oh no, she is a collector. This girl is on her 24-karat Labubu streak, but still, let's see. Setting aside Detective Reyes' surprising depth of knowledge when it comes to collectibles, you're correct. They held no real monetary value. It would be odd for Carlos to be so shaken over their loss. But so what? So what? After all, that's not panic you're seeing on that page. No, the reason that note looks the way it does is because Carlos lobbed off his dominant hand like an absolute dumbass and decided to actually use it for government work. Because Carlos is right-handed. Yes, I am. Did they not know that? Shouldn't that be on my permanent record or something? So the reason why that note looks like asylum wall scribbles is just because he had to use his left hand to write it. I tend to think better when I'm writing than typing. And I need to get used to using my left anyway. I just thought it could be good practice. Taking that into account alongside the ceramics. Your slam dunk confession is looking as watertight as a fishnet. She owns the only 24-karat platinum Labubu. Also, hello for its benefit. How are you? Can't confirm as a right-handed person. I'm something of a right-handed person myself, and I gotta tell you, writing with my left is a bit of a torture scene, you know what I mean? I feel so morgue. Morgue got? No, what are these words? I'm over here, like, my favorite way to express myself is I feel très bon, but even still, it's morning, I see. Okay, fine. Forget about the confession. Congratulations, counselor. You've established that your client's remorseless. Now let's get back to the reality of the situation. Here are the facts. We found your client at the scene of the crime, wearing a coat covered in the victim's blood, right next to a big old goddamn gun that just so happened to have his fingerprints on it. That's right. The coat is... What, you're gonna claim it's not his? That he actually wears an extra small? He's trying to bait me in a typical low-key fashion. As the arguments flow, you won't always have the stronger hand. Sometimes the best you can do is hold your tongue and avoid overcommitting. Try to use as little credit as possible while you wait for a more favorable chance. She must have something. No sense playing into it. Something you'd like to ask me, Detective? I'm just curious. What'll it be next? Jetty? Is she fact-checking us and failing? You know how it goes. You don't always have a proper argument, so you basically fallacy your way through getting them to slip, you know what I mean? It's debate bro logic. I shouldn't have to know how debate bros think, but at the same time... But you know. You're gonna tell me he actually wears an extra small? He doesn't wear an extra small. Wait, show me the other option. I want to see it. I don't get to choose it. Gee, Carlos, do you? No. Yeah, sure there's no evil twin you've forgotten to mention. There is no evil twin. No, I'm afraid not. Not even gonna go for a mysterious third party at the scene of the crime. To prove his innocence, I will need to get there eventually. But going there now without hard evidence... How could you evil twin of Carlos? Carlos with a K. Not gonna go for Carlos with a Q? We call him Los, but still. I can't wait for Of the Devil full body, but let's see here. I can prove a third party. I can't prove a third party. I can prove a third party. I can't prove a third party. I want to see if I can fuck this up. Let's see. I'm quite confident that my client isn't guilty, so there must have been a third individual at some point. That's cute. Only problem is, the ARCs show as plain as day that there's no evidence of anyone but Carlos being there that night. So keep dreaming. It was obvious she had something there. I wasn't gonna win that hand either way. But that's no reason for me to play her punching bag. Wow, you lost your chips. The house always wins, remember that. The house always wins. We're not contesting any of that, Detective. My client freely admits to holding that gun. He picked it up in confusion after coming home to find a brutal crime scene. Which was not smart. Or hey. But not illegal either. And that's all. He had her blood all over his clothes. Yes, he did. Right. Do you have those clothes on hand, by the way? That's because you're not gambling correctly. You don't take from the house. You take from your fellow suckers. Fuck you, I do what I want. The lab finished with them a while ago. What are you getting at? It'll be easier to just show you. Would you mind getting them for me? You know what? Sure, I could use the fresh air. This thing's a bullshit in here anyway. And here I thought the room smelled like... Morgan. What are you doing? My coat's covered in... in her blood. I remember that much. So doesn't that make me look really bad? There's no such thing as fresh air in Night City. Don't worry about it. This is Day City. Fighter of the Night City, but still. Just relax, Carlos. I'm pretty sure that's impossible. You're innocent. And that means that having more evidence will always help you, not hurt you. Really? Really? Not really. Plenty of it. Innocent people are in prison. People with bad luck, or bad lawyers. People shouldn't count on the truth to come out easy. More often than not, it takes coaxing. What was it that reminded me of? Alright, here it is. One bloodstained jacket fresh from the lab. So what's your angle? You're gonna tell us that this is actually just hot sauce? No, that would be silly. You actually thought it over. So what the hell's your point? Hey! Sorry, just got thrown off by my own turn of good fortune. What good fortune? You should thank the detective for bringing you your jacket, Carlos. She's just proven your innocence. My client was arrested wearing that coat. He would have been wearing it at the time of the murder. It has the victim's blood on it, who we know died when she was shot in the heart by a gun that happened to be an old-world pre-tagging firearm. And so this coat proves he couldn't have been the shooter. Is there a gas leak in here? In what world does that make any sense? Sense happens to be the key here. I just need to draw their attention to why they can. What you can smell on the coat with your nose, what you can feel in the coat with your hands, what you can see in the coat with your eyes. I'm checking the evidence file. Let's see here. The coat the suspect was wearing was taken into custody, taken by lab techs for additional analysis, but initial tests show blood on the left sleeve matches that of the victim. Ichi-sama, do you ever find yourself in a phase where you just constantly crave ice cream? Kinda? I'm over here just thinking to myself, I don't necessarily crave it all the time, but I'm over here just thinking to myself, I have a box of ice cream sandwiches in the freezer right now. I have no idea, but at the same time, I'm mostly over here just like, it's a good thing to have it once in a while, you know? That's my life right now. Honestly, I feel that right now. I'm gonna keep it so for real right now. It's 60 degrees in January. I think I'm allowed to eat ice cream, but at the same time, you know how it go, you know? Even still, I'm feel for you. I have to be strong and not actually buy it when I go grocery shopping. You're allowed one treat once in a while, you get me? Don't expect all of the treat, but sometimes treat yourself. Maybe understand that the treat will probably come back to haunt you one of these days, but don't worry about it. It's good now, you can work it off later. Let's see. I'm a little bit stumped with this one. I'm over here thinking to myself, the blood is obvious in regards to that, but what else do we get out of that? Let me see here. I'm eating strawberries at the moment. You can put the strawberries in the ice cream, making it a whole meal, but let's see here. Smell, feel, see. I'm trying to think in regards to this. I don't fully understand entirely what I'm working with here. I almost want to say, you know what, give me a second here. What sense you use doesn't matter. Are you sure? Well, there's no blood on the gun. At the very least, we know that for sure, but I'm gonna read it again. Let's see. A caliber, rifling marks, forensic data. What do you think, chat? I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking to myself, it has to be that there's no blood on it, right? I'm not sure. Let's see. In fact, let me see that again. A gun wouldn't get blood if it's far away. That's what I'm saying, though. And considering the blood is on the actual sleeve, you would think that the gun would have actually been smudged with it on some level, right? I'm going to see if this screws me. Let's see here. Just tell me what you see. I see a coat with a lot of dead woman blood on it. And you? Ah, there it goes. And the fact that she was seemingly shot point blank through the heart. Yeah, pretty much. That's not gonna work. The truth is plainly there, but it isn't the kind of detail you can plainly see with your naked eye. What about feel? That's a sense, right? I don't think smell makes any sense, but at the same time, who can say for sure? You know what 4 says a sniffer? I guess we're going a sniffing. Let's see here. Just do me one favor, detective. Tell me what you smell. I don't smell anything except dried blood. Exactly. The coat smells like blood, but it doesn't smell of cigarette. That's what I've been smelling. You know what? Fair enough. Thank you for, but even still. Yes, Detective London. I was smoking earlier. Could you rejoin the conversation? I've been listening. You wanted me to smell the jacket? If you would. Let's see. No gunpowder. What? What about gunpowder? Oh, don't blame yourself for not noticing. This was before your time. Wow. I can't believe this woman literally just looked at a detective and just went, Zoomer. Stinky Zoomer. Can't get anything done because you're still out here trying to do your hot chip in line. You can't actually understand. You're something of a Costco guy yourself, aren't you? You enjoy sitting at the kids' table drinking your Flowberry Fizz? I'm pretty sure she's Gen Beta. The term still fits, you get me? Are we in a setting where caseless ammo is somehow actually common? No. I'm pretty sure... Actually, wait. Yeah, there's probably something to that. It's more the idea that the gun isn't ID tagged and hasn't been for 30 years. Therefore, the ammo behind it is actually so rare that nobody but the actual serial killer would actually have it, you know? Excuse me, water. Oh, wait. You can't be more than a few years older than me. But not before your partners, it seems. We are in cyberpunk. Yeah, it's a little bit more cyberpunk than cyberpunk, considering, you know, the actual... I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. I don't know. My brain wants to go Cyberpunk 2077 is a little bit basic, but then again, I'd be calling myself a hipster in the process, you know? Let's see. Gunpowder's weak by today's standards, but if it's still volatile stuff, hard to store, prone to misfiring. And when it goes bang, it leaves behind an awful lot of evidence. The hell is she talking about, London? Modern firearms, like the ones we carry, use electricity, magnetism, even air pressure or sound waves. You ever seen a microwave pulse pistol? I do not recommend it. They've got more accuracy, more firepower, less recoil, less noise. And they don't leave behind any residue. Gunpowder residue? You talked my ear off about how difficult it is tracking down a gun that doesn't leave digital traces. But a revolver like this one, it'd leave gunpowder on the skin of whoever fired it for days. So then, his coat? If you don't trust your noses, you can check the lab reports. I think if they had found any gunpowder on my client or his clothes, they'd have taken the time to highlight it. Well, whatever. That just means he washed off after shooting her, or he changed his clothes. That's not impossible, but it would be pretty pointless. His jacket and left hand were blood-soaked when your officers found him. Would he really go through all the effort to get rid of something as subtle as gunpowder residue, just to get the victim's blood all over himself afterwards? In light of these details, I'd like to formally request that you reconsider the charges Mr. Flat is facing as soon as possible. Whoa. They're faltering now. Should topple over at any moment. The latter was mostly icing on the cake for them, but that gun is all they had to link Carlos to any of the shootings. So it looks like he never actually fired the gun. I'll admit, things were a little dicey there at times, but once I was able to get a grasp of the situation, the smaller pieces fell into place easily enough. Not my cleanest work by far, but overall I'd say... Did she get a message? Wait, they actually managed to find it. Something you'd like to share, Detective Reyes? You're good. Twisting the truth into knots, making facts work for you. Thanks. But your luck just ran out. Because the net scrubbers found a cam active at the exact moment of the shooting, and right now, I'm staring at a photo of the killer. Wanna bet? A photo of the shooter. If she has that, we wouldn't be talking. But I doubt she's just pulling this out of her ass. She's got something from the scrubbers. She must be bluffing. She must have something. I'm not sure I follow, Detective. Didn't we establish that there was an optics blackout during the shooting? Sure, there was. But this isn't from optics. Good thing I held my tongue. As I thought, the scrubbers must have managed to dig up something from the outside of the network. Which means... Party's over, counselor. Feast your eyes on this. This tells me nothing. Well... Okay, the quality is... lacking. And yet there it is. They managed to find a quartered needle of evidence in a whole city block of haystacks. What are the goddamn chances? No, with the scale their tools operate on, I guess the chances are, as always, in their favor. Alright, this isn't good, but it's a far cry from the worst case scenario I envisioned. You could say I even got lucky, which means the stakes are... Well, it's a little bit... blurry. Don't look at me, I didn't take the damn thing. Technically, no one took it. Looks like at the time of the shooting, a neighbor was on their phone, probably venting about how crazy the couple across the way was acting. But if their phone was on, its camera would be on. And so we managed to get this shot through the window. Where to begin? Far away, unfocused, ultra-low resolution, zoomed in, blurred, color shifted. And so compressed that it looks like it's from another century. There are tools that could enhance this image any further, and I could count the pixels on one hand. And you could kiss its admissibility in court goodbye. You can't honestly claim that you can identify my client from this image. And there's no way in hell you could get this past a judge. Yeah, you're probably right. We couldn't. But I think I know a DA that could. Either way, doesn't seem like your client's leaving this police station anytime soon. That photo. What the hell is happening to me? Think I know a DA that could? Don't be so modest, old man. We have photo evidence of a left-handed shooter standing in the hallway at the same time the whole neighborhood heard a gunshot. And who do we know had their left hand fingerprints all over that gun? You're referring to my client. You think? We've established he wasn't wearing his modded arm at all tonight, so he must have shot with his left. Yes, and we've also established that he's weak with his left side. A left side that had no gunpowder whatsoever. Forensics will never be perfect, counselor. Sometimes we miss things. Sometimes you take a walk through the rain, and when you finally get where you're going, you somehow end up dry. But that doesn't mean it didn't rain. A bit of a guided metaphor, but understandable. All of which is to say, before a judge or jury, photographic evidence outweighs a failed sniff test. Carlos is innocent. I know he is. But that photo shows a left-handed shooter. Carlos is innocent. That photo is real. If both are true, then that means the photo doesn't show what it appears to show. So, at a loss for words? Never. I'm just confused about one thing. Where was this photo taken from exactly? Exactly. Positional data usually is only accurate in the nearest public router. If we DN on the phone's owner and ask them where, why bother with any of that? Ballistics and common sense tells us that the perp shot from the room's doorway. The front entrance of the apartment faces to the south. There's a hallway that runs back to the bedroom. I knew it! His other evil twin, Carlos, is left-handed as well. Carlos with a Q was found in the harbor, but no. We're looking straight at the shooter, so it's pretty obvious that this was taken from across the north window. From the north? If this is from the north, then we can clearly see the... It's not that complicated. The neighbor who got the shot must live on the other side of the street. The Bay Harbor Heartbreaker, exactly. Detective Reyes has been talking to Detective Dokes and has the same paranoia. But even still. So, we're looking into the bedroom from the north window. If she's wrong, I should seize on the opportunity to start turning the tide. She's wrong. The photo was taken from the west. He's right. The photo was taken from the north. I'm going to raise. A redhead with those bangs would ruin your life and you will regret nothing. I'd ask you to look at what is the left side of my hair colored, but at the same time, you know how it goes. How are you, Anubis? I'm blaming you, specifically, for me wanting to lock in as hard as I can with the idea of voice acting, but at the same time, hey, consider, have a shout out. Let's see here. Open the gate. Release the gator. I'm afraid that's simply not possible, Detective. The photo has to have taken that. The photo has to have been taken from the west. What kind of bluff is that supposed to be? Hey, where's the clock on the wall in the room, by the way? On the east side? But still. The good detectives are misinformed here, and I need to take advantage of that. Time to press the initiative. Gotta get back into that stream-wise. Gonna start up FF4 pretty soon, so maybe that'll also return to form, and thanks for the shout-out. I always shout out my mutuals. I'm not like other VTubers. I believe in paying your belief in me forward, but still. The hell do you mean it was taken from the west? The autopsy tells us the victim was shot from the doorway. Your officer's ARC's data tells us the precise location of everything in the room at the time they arrived. Now your photo has shown us the exact moment of the shooting. And you can now raise the ante on a hand up to the current max. Answer wrong and you lose more credit, but answer correctly. And you could bank up more credit for trickier hands down the line. And altogether, that tells us that the window must have been, as long as you consider that I keep hitting what buttons by mistake. Let's see here. Victim's blood, mirror was upright, clock on the wall, cheap durable ceramic, not even scratch, murder weapon. All right, let's consult the evidence, shall we, chat? Let's see here. Autopsy report, debris. Where is the window? Let's see here. Glass shards. Is it? Yeah. Show me the glass shards. I want to see the glass shards. Let's see here. Pieces of glass from a broken standing window found at the crime scene. Said mirror was a low-tech furnishing with no digital components to pull data from. Hit with enough force to scatter the shards, it will have some victim's body. That's not what we need here. Let's see here. A bird's eye view of the crime scene as discovered by the police, captured within the ARC system, shows the northern window facing the southern hallway where the shooter stood. Shows the western window facing the eastern wall. So as you can see, the window is north, the mirror is northeast, and the window is west. So in other words, the photo had to be taken from the west. Let's see here. Just going over evidence and consider. We'll take one look at the clock in the photo. The clock? What about it? The clock, huh? Seems like London's got an idea. If he's mistaken, I could pounce on it to keep my tempo high. This photo was taken right before the shooting, so... Wait, don't tell me the time of death is wrong. No. He's wrong. The time of death is correct. That's a good question, Detective London. But the answer is no. I love it here. I love making cops look stupid. Let's see here. The autopsy, the clock, the neighbors all agree the time of death was 9 p.m. Right. There's no mistaking that. So, then what the hell are you on about? There's a clock on the wall in this photo, analog style, and it reads 9 o'clock. 9 p.m., the time of the shooting? The hell's so special about that? Nothing. There's nothing odd about the time of the clock, the time the clock reads, but do you remember there being a clock in the room? What? Actually, I don't recall there being a clock. That makes sense. You wouldn't recall seeing a clock, because when the police secured the scene, the clock had already been knocked over onto the floor. And the only clock in that room is in the northeastern corner. And my client has informed me that before the crime, it was hung up on the eastern wall, and Jim JRHCTH, thank you for being the 530th member of my legion. Are you having fun here? Let's see here. Like so. What the hell is that supposed to be? An artistic rendition. It's, very distinct. If you had information on how the crime scene was before the shooting, why didn't you just add that to the arcs? And show you my hand. Just because discovery law compels us to share info, doesn't mean we have to play fair, detective. Slipped my mind. I'll do that now. The important thing is, if that clock was on the eastern wall before the shooting occurred, then this photo must be looking through the western window to see it. Don't start getting ahead of yourself. The victim was shot at 9 p.m. The same time this photo was taken of the shooter. But you want to claim that the clock's still on the eastern wall when it would have been knocked down during the fighting? You've got your logic backwards, detective. Your precious photo shows that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And there's one other piece of evidence that proves exactly how the cards fell. A Alright, let's see here. I could raise it higher. But I also don't trust myself in regards to this. What are you implying? The room was trashed before the shooting? Ceramic from near western window. I'm inclined to wait. You know, I'm going to consult my evidence in regards to this. Let's see here. Flat's statement. Carlos Flat's testimony on the state of the crime scene. The mirror was upright, the clock was on the wall, the chair got knocked over, the bed was tossed, the cushions torn. Is that relevant here? I'm not sure, but let me see here. I'm inclined to believe it's either the vase or the ceramic, but at the same time, let me see here. Once again, just gonna check Flat's testimony. Let's see here. Mirror was upright, clock was on the wall, chair got knocked over, bed got tossed, cushions torn. And that's all they have to say on that. All right. I was thinking the glass shards. Yeah, maybe. But at the same time, it's also Reyes over here implying that the thing was trashed before the shooting. But at the same time, wait, actually, no, you know what, Mordred, you have a point there. The idea that it was trashed, but Flat says that the mirror was not. Give something to work off in regards to that. Let me see about that. This has such an NCIS pace. I'm gonna be real with you, I haven't watched CBS in forever, but I kinda want to now. Would you believe me if I told you it was actually part of a chemistry project that we watched an episode of NCIS that involved the use of lye in terms of trying to cover up a crime scene to get rid of bloodstains and all of that? I think it's very interesting. But then again, I don't know. Lye tends to be pretty basic, if you know what I'm talking about. No. I can't make jokes, my buttons betray me, but let's see here. Glass shards? What about them? Nothing much, really. Only that they were on top of the victim's body. You know what? Mordo, you saved me right there. Thank you. And not under it? If the glass fell on top of the victim's body, that would mean that she was dead on the ground before the room got trashed. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone trash the room afterwards? It's a good question, Carlos. Luckily, it's the detectives who have delved into the minds of the criminally insane, not us. Tell me, detectives, were there any signs of a struggle at the other crime scenes? Other crime scenes? No, nothing like that. Those attacks would have been over in a matter of seconds. So, what did you think when you saw the mess in the bedroom? That this was personal, and things had gotten complicated. Shit happens. Shit does happen, detective. But in this case, it seems there's been a general misconception about the order in which shit happened. So what if the room did get tossed over until afterward? He still shot her. And we have a photo right here. And I'm glad you do, detective, because that photo proves my client's innocence. Proving that it wasn't my client who pulled the trigger is difficult, and maybe more importantly for all of us, time-consuming. Thanks to your photo, I can instead prove it couldn't have been my client who pulled the trigger. Because the man in the photo couldn't possibly be Carlos. Like hell it can't! The glass shards prove that the room was pristine at the time of the shooting. And we know that until the room was tossed, the clock was on the eastern wall, which means that this photo of the shooter was taken from the west. Back to this shit? That's impossible. The only hallway in the apartment runs from north to south. The only person with prints on that gun is your client. And the only fact that matters is that he used it to murder 6 innocent people. You're a very honest person, detective. Excuse me? That's why you're such a shitty gambler. You played your cards too early, and now I can steal the pot right out from under you. You're right about the hallway's orientation. You're right about the prints. And this HK figure has claimed 6 lives. I don't know why I struggled on that. My brain wanted to go, well, you mean killer, right? But no. Honestly, we can take a little bit of a break to just talk about this right quick. It's something to be said about just how earnest, but also how shitty Reyes really is about people in regards to this. She's too straight-laced, which also means she has no sense of maneuverability. She can't wiggle her way around Morgan's arguments in regards to this. You know what I mean? It's good. I appreciate this considerably. As I'm over here just going, Walter, but even still. The majority of my understanding of her character is that, frankly speaking, nobody wants to deal with her on the sheer fact of, hey, look at that. You're not only hard to deal with, you also can't stop trying to be an agent of justice, or you should be an agent of the people, you know what I mean? Then again, we've already established that this particular setting loves working for the state first and foremost. But you know, the house always wins, but it's our job not to lose. You get what I'm saying? It's not about walking away with the whole pot. It's about making sure that we don't lose more than we spend. But at the same time, that could be said about every aspect of life. What have you bought recently that you couldn't justify, chat? I don't know. I'm over here looking at 3 figures that I bought over 50 hours worth of overtime. So naturally, I'm just over here just like, yeah. But even still. That being said, let's see here. But we aren't looking at the hallway in that photo. What? What we're seeing is... The shop is for 6 weeks, victim's stand-up mirror, not digital. Worthless ceramics. No cams at the time of shooting. Flat may have known. Flat's girlfriends with 6 HK victim. Do we know if there was any cybernetics in Flat's girlfriend? Let's see here. Diane Dunn, found shot. No previous connection with previous HK victims. Stand-up mirror, not digital. Cam's shooting. Flat may have known. I bought some gambling of questionable affordability, but ended up comfortably affording it afterwards. I'm very glad. You keep reminding me of how some people actually win once in a while. Me, I'm over here just like, I don't gamble like that. I sometimes win in regards to gacha games, and that's about it. I'm sorry, JPEGs aren't gambling wins. Sometimes you just go, the real gamble is finding who can actually pull these outfits off. But no, that's not fair to think about either. You know what I mean? Hopefully. But at the same time, I'm just over here spitballing while I try to figure out what evidence actually is. But let's see here. Let's see here. Wait. I'm trying to think. Does the prosthetic arm itself show any of this? Let me see here. All right, the 2 both submitted 5 weeks ago. User reported sensitivity issues. What about the rental? Records show Carlos found Carlos scarred in frustration or worn it since. I'm trying to think, because the mirror sounds too pedestrian of an argument to make, but at the same time, hard to say. We know for a fact that there were no optics at the time, so therefore no cams. And what are you even arguing? This is a photo of the shooter. What even? You can't prove that. You have no evidence in regards to that. There's nothing here that actually proves that. Let's see. You know what? if it is Flat's girlfriend, I'm going to go, okay, fair enough, I see how things are. But I'm also not going to actually max out my ante until I'm sure of that. The victim? Now that's just sad. She wasn't wearing gloves, for starters. If she had ever held the gun, it would have had her fingerprints on it. Yeah, that's entirely fair. Well, yeah. I need to stop overthinking this. If the room wasn't disturbed and you looked through the western window, you'd see... It is probably the mirror. Never mind. Fuck me. Let's see here. Never mind. I actually know what I'm talking about. Let's go. Let's see here. By the way, do you recall where those glass shards came from? Yeah, sure. They came from a standing mirror. I love getting my money back. A mirror that at the time of the shooting stood across the room from the western window. But then, that would mean, at that angle, from that viewpoint, your external monologues mirrors my internal monologue while playing LA Noire perfectly. Something, I need to think out my thoughts out loud for the viewing pleasure of the audience, but you know, it be like that. Let's see here. It would reflect the hallway. So we're not seeing a shooter with the gun in their left hand. We're seeing a killer take aim with their right arm. And as we all know, my client hasn't had a working right arm in a number of weeks. And he hasn't worn his rental since this morning. So, I meant what I said about that photo. I'm glad that it was recovered. Because it just proved that my client couldn't possibly have committed the crime. That should be the end of it. Except it looks like Detective Reyes is a novice gambler. Sunk cost has got its teeth in her now, clawing up her spine, whispering wounded pride in her ear. It's a cold sweat, hot palms kind of fever. The impotent, irrational fury of losing something you thought was guaranteed yours. But lucky for you, Detective, I'm well versed in shock therapy. You look dissatisfied, Detective Reyes. One word for it. Then allow me to put a nice bow on everything for you. In summary, my client's so-called confession was just a note to self. The police found him in shock, reeling at the death of his girlfriend, and arrested him for being the next to the gun he forensically couldn't have fired. After being confronted with these facts, you received photographic evidence of the exact moment of the shooting, and instead of utilizing said photo to track down the real killer, you tried to claim it depicted my client. A man without the requisite limb, standing in an architecturally impossible hallway. That's... He could have had a backup arm. He could have stolen one. A little stubbornness can be charming, but this kind of desperation is ugly. It's getting late. Time to bare my fangs. A bit. That's the best you've got. Even a bare-bones prosthetic of the black market needs to be attuned to its individual's nervous system. He'd have had to bring it to a clinic, which would have left a record of his shoulder OS. A record you won't find. And he'd still have to somehow have gotten rid of it before the police arrived. SOP at the scene of a violent crime calls for a full spectrum scanning of the entire building and 100 meters around it minimum. So where, Detective Reyes, did he manage to hide a cybernetic arm from your drones in the time between the shooting and his arrest? Well... Any objections? Detective? God damn it! Well, we bullied a Zoomer into making my client innocent. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Show me your hand flat. You're uncuffing me? In light of the evidence, we have no reason to hold you. I gotta call the DA. And tell her I made a mistake. Not we made a mistake, huh? Well, say what you will, at least she owns up to it. Listen, kid, you should know. Detective? Lost my train of thought. But your attorney's a real tiger, and she just fought like hell for you. Make sure you thank her properly. Public defense doesn't pay that well. Yeah. That's kind of you to say, Detective. But my work is its own reward. Sure. I feel exactly the same, Counselor. What happens now? I'll have to speak with the DA about the dismissal. And there's still some paperwork we'll need to go through. But basically, you're free to go. Congrats, you get to leave the casino with your kneecaps intact. Yay? But what am I supposed to do? The detectives will continue their investigation. Their investigation into heartbreak, huh? Yes. When the authorities are satisfied with their examination of the body, she'll be handed over to the next of kin, and then you can make your funeral arrangements. No, that's not what Diane being gone is bad enough. But a serial killer? It's like she died of the flu. It doesn't happen anymore. People die of the flu all the time, but I know what you mean. I can't make sense of it. What am I supposed to do? If I know. There are some contacts I could give you. Services, professionals, doctors. No, you've done enough for me. When you got here, I was too tired to even defend myself. Try and convince me that I didn't. Convince them that I didn't. You saved me. Thank you. You're welcome, Carlos. But it's my job to know. I mean, you for not asking. But not asking if I killed her. Wow. Every instinct I ever had, compassion wins. It's almost as if we need to treat people like real humans or something. But you know. Oh, Carlos. I didn't need to ask. I knew you were innocent from the start. Of course he was. After all. Excuse me? What do you mean by this? The blood's always different. Heart's always in the same place. Easy to find. Hard to miss. But the blood's always different. A flowering stain, unfurling towards an invisible sum. A perfect unique bloom. Only one for each of us. A Rorschach test with a singular universal meaning. Vitality at its climax. Bursting forth into a red fractal consisting solely of an infinite The End. But the comical thud of a body hitting the floor has its own kind of lowbrow appeal. Wow, this is a shocking turn of events. Bullet number 6 of 6. The gun's empty. It's useless to me now. May as well leave it. Feels like a waste, but whatever. Finding the ammo was almost enough of a hassle to outweigh the advantages. I could sell an untagged gun for a fair bit of cash, but cash can't buy you peace of mind. Oh, don't look so surprised, lady. Mopping around in the dark in here must have only been able to see my silhouette. Did she think I was her boyfriend back for an encore of that enthralling conversation? Can't ask her now.
Hi.
These old pieces are so goddamn loud. And people aren't even familiar enough with the sound anymore to know where to run the other way. Probably roused half the neighborhood. But I didn't see anything I could use as even a partial suppressor on the way in. They really not afford some throw pillows. Use the other 5 bullets in outdoor spaces, in small spheres of blind opportunity that the city's eyes couldn't think to pierce. Cramped places usually full of trash. But this room, as cheap as it looks, is at least clean, organized even. So the corpse adds a certain satisfying contrast. Except... there's shit on the floor. By the window, there are broken pieces of something fragile and tacky. It's fine. It's just one thing out of place. Actually, it's not fine. It's actually really irritating. I kick over the stupid goddamn mirror. 5 perfect crime scenes, each of them not a speck of evidence, nothing to go on. And for the final shot, there just has to be some pile of shit in the corner ruining everything. I kick the wall. Something falls from it, probably more tasteless bullshit. I toss over the chair, knock the urn, tear into the sheets with my frustration and try to savor the shredding. If it can't be clean, I'll just have to lean on into the messy ingle. At least it will be consistent. This was all so stupid. Honestly, I'm not the ego-driven type. In fact, I pride myself on my humility. Now, was it satisfying when the first 3 went down with the single shots? Yes. But so what? I'm not made of stone. After that, I did start to actively aim for the heart, but... ugh. Heartbreak killer? Really? Don't people have anything better to do with their time? What kind of miserable, lifeless voyeurs would obsess over something that's none of their business? All of the threads and breakdowns and the goddamn theory crafting. And all for the heartbreak killer. Sounds like a soap opera villain from a season where the writers were on strike. So if I tell you that a soap opera that my collaborators were big fans of had James Franco as a vampire. But you know, that man is gone, so I'm not surprised. I'd feel insulted by the label, but no, that's someone else's name. They came up with it. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, socially impotent loser who shot 6 people because... well, I'm sure people will come up with something. But that he got rejected one too many times or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. If I had just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. And now that it doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it'll irritate the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight. Really savor it. I'm going home. The air is weighty tonight. Thick, energized. A heavily foreshadowed summer rain I can feel on every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin, like in those short moments just after the shower turns off when steam lingers. Yeah, it's always the most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that. But I know I've never felt guilty about any of this. And I walk. Okay, I didn't realize I was playing as gender-bent Yoshikage Kira, but alright, let's see here. Sorry. Using my leftist still. That's okay, you can just initial in those spots. I took a scenic route home, courtesy of the fine city sprawling public transportation, and got in a bit after 11 p.m. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, did some stretching. Wow. Even the fucking glass of milk. This woman literally is Kira. What are you talking about? Made sure my phone was on. I was more thinking gender-bent light Yagami. The pre-bed workout confirmed it for me. I'm sorry, but you know how it goes. She doesn't have a god complex. She just loves killing. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40 a.m., a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate, since it was so late and so urgent. I had wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have had enough sense to ask for a lawyer and enough debt that he'd need to be provided one. All I had to do was stay awake. There wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay. What else? Where else? Here. And here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Why wouldn't I take on a job where I already knew more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. I would have gotten paid the same too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was of course innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals. Maybe even fans, depending on his looks. Don't we know that to be true? More attention on HK and his crimes, more headaches. A cold case rotting in the very far back of people's awareness and is always preferable to one open and shut in haste. Now, with more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be any additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now, Heartbreak can just starve to death, out of sight and mind like any other fluke in the system. Almost done. Getting involved with the case this intimately does have its risks. Hell, I might have even overdone things here or there. Like lighting up a smoke inside an interrogation room just to make it doubly sure I didn't still smell of gunpowder myself. That London fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked. But, obviously, everything turned out okay. Turned out rosy. And it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities' failings from the best seat in the house, that's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Diane is grateful too. Funny, I didn't even know her name. Something the matter? No. Sorry. It's just, I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was too. So when she died, Death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that she was in any pain. In fact, I can guarantee she was dead before she hit the ground. No, I know, but I just keep thinking that she must have died angry at me. That she must have died hating me. What do you think, Chet? Do you think we let this man believe that his girl died hating him, or actually see if we could give him a little bit of closure? Yeah, that sounds about right. Present evidence. Also, if I could go back with the chat, world's least violent OCD crash out. Yeah, that sounds about right. Also, my inaugural statement this stream was prescient. Is that a word, Anubis? I'm not too sure, but I'm going to hope. I don't have the ability to look it up right now, but even still. Hey, buddy, you want a cookie? This cookie is inlaid with a bit of arsenic. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Fuck! I hate it here. I literally had it hovering over it, too. Blah. Sorry. You've done so much. I shouldn't be placing any more baggage on you. Don't worry about it, Carlos. You couldn't give me baggage if you tried. Let's see here. I don't have any files. Wait. I'm trying to check something. Let's see here. Okay, fair enough. I was about to get upset. Let's see here. Let's try this again, shall we? To tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself. What is it? Something I noticed in the Ark's data that I didn't quite understand. A piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit anywhere else. But maybe you can make sense of it. Oh. The pillbox. Oh no. What is the... Where did you find that? That pill organizer was found on the victim. She had a grasp in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the Arks, but it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it contained triprexazone, prescribed to help modders with phantom itches. They're small tablets, and those are tricky clasps too, for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with an unsteady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died. Even if they did, feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But as far as facts are concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medications for the week. Oh. I don't know if this is better or worse. To my eyes, anyway. Yeah, I'm over here just thinking to myself, yeah, I'm going to rule this as a, hey, at least she didn't die with hate in her heart, you know? Long night. That was just too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll even ever see him again. But overstepping like that is just pure hubris. Wow, saying nothing would actually have been the correct option, but this is fine. And hubris invites a downfall. So why? Why did I even bother? It was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I'll just need to show more restraint next time. Though there won't be a next time for heartbreak. The gun's in custody. No more bullets left. There won't be a seventh victim. There won't be any leads to pursue. The media will move on to their next obsession. I'll move on to my next MO. And no one will... whoa! Found you. District Attorney Rockford. Oh. Chat. Why is Janako Karigiri here? Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so fried. By all means. Counselor Morgan. Morning, noon, or night, you're always so put together. Thank you. I don't get it. How do you sleep at night? Pardon? You do white noise? Aromatherapy? Whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. God. I must have bags under my eyes dark enough for the dumpsters. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. She's a prosecutor, the lawyer who argues for the state in court, trying to prove to the defendant's guilt. Wait, she's our Edgeworth in this game? Understandable. Hey, it's the one all the people in Kyria's server loves. I don't know what people are about, you know? Also say hello to Morgan's toxic Yuri girlfriend. Okay, she is the Edgeworth of this game. Good to know. And despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, since I haven't beaten her once. Worse yet, she has the remarkable ability to compartmentalize all that adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. It's part of what makes her good at her job. And hard for me to read. Should I buy a new mattress? What have they got you doing at this ungodly hour, Emma? Oh, well, actually, I'm here for you. Me? Your client was a suspect in the Heartbreak killings. That's my case. Well then, you must have been relieved finding out that you Well then, you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go to trial against me. No. Why would I be worried about going up against you? It's always the unintended barbs with her. So you're working with those detectives? Yeah, London and the new girl, Reyes. They've been reporting to me in preparation for trial. Preparation for trial? That seems ambitious. I guess they gave you the rundown. They've been doing everything they can, but it's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little. It's hard to kill while leaving so little behind. So, Reyes told you they had HK in custody and you popped out of bed all excited to run down here? Hardly. I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much on the mind. So, when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, yeah, my ears perked up. But that's about all. Oh. I mean, Carlos Flat, a serial killer? The same serial killer that outsmarted the state for weeks? She's not using his middle name. He was found with the murder weapon, but I can answer that any number of ways. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a little bit disproven at this point. He can't... Wait. I'm gonna keep it a buck. We already proved that this is an impossible thing for him to do, but at the same time, I don't know what to give you. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it? No gunpowder residue on him or his clothes. Right. Too remorseful, too apologetic in that note. Whatever it was about, his dominant arm modded with documented sensitivity issues. Never could have made shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to leave scorch marks. Not to mention, he's too tall for the ballistics entry angles, and probably too heavy not to leave imprints. She got all that from a glance. But I'm sure a competent lawyer like yourself pointed all that out the moment you walked in there. Of course. Worst part is she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course it couldn't have been him. Long-term relationship, physically imposing, argumentative, though not the type to bottle things up. He didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, Right, you probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. You know what is? Hang on. Okay, there is a profile on Heartbreak. Good to know. Let's see. Oh, wait. It's literally just a persona for Morgan. Good to know. Let's see here. I was over here just like, I'd like more information, but you know. A profile is a reconstruction of a criminal's psychology based on evidence from their crimes. Kind of fallen out of fashion in the last few decades. Not much need to guess about the why when 99 times out of 100 the who is caught on camera, or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it, but I think I'm getting the hang of it. You know what, I'll hear you out. How do you profile people? So this profiling, it's some kind of investigative technique. The theory is that a crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing, overkill, points to passion, rage, lust. They probably knew their victim. Poison and guns, meanwhile, suggest they can't overpower their victims physically. And then there's the things you can't assume about nearly all serial offenders. Childhood trauma, prior criminal record, few or no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detectives say HK doesn't leave evidence. So how much can his crimes possibly tell you? That he's diligent, almost perfect. Highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on an untagged firearm. It's rare to see her this animated outside the courtroom. It's almost like she's enjoying herself. A sheltered house cat who's picked up the scent of a mouse for the first time. A lone wolf, educated but all her playfully lethal instincts coming to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued. Though I'm not thrilled about the fact that in that metaphor I would be the... Know what I mean? Definitely. And considering the marksmanship, the detective said that HK would have needed insider information on optics. So does that mean Heartbreak's in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority. That'd be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. They'd be kicking kids in the head after the first full rotation. Right, that's exactly how I'd put it. There must be some connection to the police, though. Maybe secondary or tertiary. These types can't help but insert themselves. I don't do anything resembling that. The rumor come out. HK is only for the sisters? No, that's not fair. Wait, if HK's not a cop, how did they know about the blackout timing? Crime metastatistics analysis? Probably. Pardon. Take the emergency response times from across the city and map them out, look for brief spikes and delays, chart out the dip-ins. Sorry, technical, I know. But all the requisite data is publicly available. With a map, a spreadsheet, a calculator, anyone could reverse engineer the timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. Alright. What's the MO here? Well, at least this heartbreak maniac will slow down now that he's lost his weapon. He didn't lose it. He chose to leave it behind. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. And it just makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills. The other shootings with the same MO? No, that's not that I found. Other victims that fit the description? No. But I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyway. I mean, these 6 victims all look like each other, but they also look like a lot of people. That's true. Hell, they kind of look like me. Wow. This is extremely Dexter core. I don't know why, but this feels like it. You know what I mean? Do they? Do they really? Sure. What? You don't see it? I hadn't thought about it. Point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Getting things out that perfect takes practice. So I know that HK must have had a lot more than 6 occasions to practice, Morgan. And that's why I think heartbreak is a misnomer. You've got something catchier in mind. I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance. If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 untagged bullets. 6 kills, guaranteed, no matter what kind of life support mods they were packing. The real signature isn't the bullets or the gun, it's their perfection. That's hard to wrap your head around. I'm saying that these 6 murders were just a fluke, a slip-up, a mistake? Exactly, a mistake. They got too clean, too efficient, and now they've got the public's attention. It's no wonder they're so pissed. Are you talking about the crime scene? Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right? Based on what you've said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed the room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing. On the contrary. I don't follow. This was the last bullet, their last shot. The other 5 were perfect. So if anything was out of place this time around, they must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum. You make them sound like a child. Childish, and cowardly, and two-faced. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win. Your profile tell you all that? That? No. That part's just takes one to know one. So to summarize, you're looking for a cold-blooded, faceless, perfectionist killer who you think has no persistent MO or victim type. In a city with an 8-digit population? Well, good luck. I don't need luck. I only need more information. Well, I'm sure the city would be happy to provide you with more resources. No, Morgan. I mean, I need more crime scenes. Oh. Sad truth is, if Heartbreak walked away today, I'd never catch them. Only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies. Not a very fair trade, is it? No, it isn't. But getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil. Fair enough. Whew. Okay, that rant was pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more. Or sleep more. Or sleep less, but harder. You think a higher thread count would help? Don't worry about it. I'm always happy to listen to you ramble. It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the courtroom. Sorry, but that's the adversarial process. No hard feelings, yeah? No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. I could use a cup of coffee. How about you? Don't tempt me. If you fall asleep face first under the table, I won't even take a picture. Okay. Just don't expect to make this make a difference next time we're at each other's throats. Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation. And the police will have moved on to the cases they actually stand a chance of closing. It's what people do. But Emma is different. She'll set it aside and work on a dozen other cases, never bringing it up. But a private corner of that frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, but never quitting either. So I can't afford to take my eyes off her. As long as that's the case, I may as well try to enjoy the view. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is actually pretty fantastic. I could stick with this if it's short enough for me to do 1 stream per episode. I know that's not true, but at the same time, it's great. Look at it. Also, who is that? Whose child is this, but still? Which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while.
For how long?
I'm sorry, I don't know. There's no need to look that upset over it.
My face barely moved.
It may as well have been a blatant pout from where I'm sitting. Yeah, like that.
This friend of yours, that trustworthy?
Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. Hey, come on, it'll be fun. Really? Really? Educational, too. I think you could stand to learn a lot from someone like Morgan. Yeah, I can work with this very nicely. I'm very happy about it. Belle, if you're there, thank you for giving me something to sink my teeth into, but at the same time, you know how it goes. If I had a nickel for every murder mystery lawyer game, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but then again, Phoenix Red is a very big nickel, you know what I mean? Even still, I like this a lot. I can see why so many people are obsessed with the goings-on, right down to the idea of, hey, what if we did all the shipping in the world and said that it was great, but even still, I'm very happy in regards to this, and I hope to continue on with it. As much as I'm over here just like, I need to do more with Kanto 9, but at the same time, I'm grinding as fast as I can, you know what I mean? Even still. You're the smartest person I know, Morgan, when it comes to people. Personally, I think it's too cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. You're a real criminal defense attorney, and we're at a crime scene. I think I can guess what happens next. I've never stolen anything. That wasn't already compromised. Work hard and the company will have you set for life, and after too. And you, can't you tell by how many musicians I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus? So that's not just a lawyer job thing. You dress like a doorman on the weekends too? Compared to determining fault, determining cause of death is like a breath of fresh air. The company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. We can't hope to keep this quiet for very long. But it's a million times more likely than the alternative. That heartbreak could ever stop themselves from killing.
Others said that you owed him.
I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it. Yeah. We could be here again next week and see what's going on in actual episode 1, you know what I mean? But you know, we're gonna worry about that next time, because frankly speaking, I'm tired, but you know, it be like that. Let's see here. Honestly, I'm just glad that I get to continue to do stuff like this, and people reward me with followship, and possibly good conversation, and telling me what they order for lunch when they don't have proper lunch, and guys, subscribing for the 6th month in a row. It's crazy how that works. But at the same time, your support is very appreciated in whatever form it comes across as, so naturally, never pretend that it isn't the case. I will see what more we can do with this as we go along, and hopefully you enjoyed my voice. I want you to do me a favor. I need you to go into the server and put into the general section, out of 52, what is the grade you'd like to give my voice performance tonight? Because honestly, once again, this is all me just going, I am a cartoon cyborg on the internet voicing things for you that otherwise wouldn't get it. So naturally, I feel inclined to ask what kind of direction you'd like me to take things. Well, I'm also over here figuring out for myself what the hell we actually need to do in terms of rating. And I'm over here just like, you know what? I think we're just going to go rate Tiffany Witcher and see what they're up to. But at the same time, hopefully it will be good. You know what I mean? That being said, my name has been Megiddo, Ichi, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Stay safe, drink water, understand that frankly speaking, whatever you do, never trust a lawyer more than it's worth. And I will hope to see you all again in the next one. Have a good night, everybody.
Cheers!